Chapter 26. The sky was like a sheet of rice paper, allowing the magical watercolor of sunset to be freely painted. As the setting sun gradually faded, surrounding light was swallowed by encroaching darkness, and neon hues began to flicker and dance, stirring excitement. In a corner of the street in York New City, Krilo and the others were being tailed again. Thanks to Leo's intervention, the Phantom Troupe didn't rob the auction this time, but the underworld's pursuit never ceased. They'd hired professionals to track them. "You two, your capture noise is too loud," Krilo frowned at the figures creeping nearby. "Sorry," came the reply. It was mainly because this little monkey was bouncing around, unconsciously radiating murderous intent. Leo and Uvagin spoke in unison, as though prearranged. A man with long red hair, half his head shaved, grinned. "Haha, a big fish indeed, the Phantom Troupe's leader, Krilo Lucifer. The other's Uvagin. And there's another unknown one, and 2 kids. Kidnap? Eldest sons of a wealthy family, maybe?" The speaker, wearing a sky blue beret and green clothes, had wrinkles showing his age. "Oh my, Killua?" A silver-haired old man appeared before Leo and the others, flanked by a tall, muscular man. "Killua, trapped under Uvagin's arm," exclaimed, "Grandpa. And Dad's here too." "Killua's relatives?" Pakinoda, held by Illumi, asked, curiosity in her voice. "A mission that brings both of them out. Turns out the troop guys are formidable opponents." Killua recalled the suffocating aura under Uvagin, remembering how he'd lost resistance and feeling a simmering resentment. "Quiet, kids." Leo increased his grip, making Killua cry out in pain. "Is it all sorted?" Uvagin asked. "Hey, we're in a hurry. Don't you guys read the room? No choice but to kill." As Krilo spoke, Ulvo and Illumi attacked the underworld's Nen users. Compared to Killua's family, the rest were insignificant. Leo's sword flashed like a meteor, silvery white light illuminating the night. "This guy's cunning." Zeno and Silva stood back. They knew this group wouldn't last long. With a deafening blast, the assassin who'd been eaten in the original novel fell to Uvagin's super-destructive punch, blown into pieces without leaving a corpse. "Now it's 3 versus 2. Still want to fight?" Krilo asked. Illumi had been dispatched to handle the 10 elders, but timing was off, the group had arrived early. "Of course, we're killers. We don't take money and flee. Plus, you grabbed our kid." Zeno smiled. "Oh?" Krilo glanced at Killua. "Didn't expect a Zoldyck. That complicated things. An organization aiming at longevity must avoid unnecessary risks. The troop killed the weak without mercy, and steered clear of those stronger. I actually struggle with decisions, especially before battles. I'm conflicted. This time I'll be serious." Destroyer duo. A sun mark and moon mark appeared on Krilo's hands. Leo stared curiously. A data-gathering opportunity. Careful, his hands give off danger. Must be a close-range ability, a Nen thief. Terrifying, but likely risky. Probably needs 4 or 5 conditions to steal Nen. Low chance mid-battle. I'm not too worried, Zeno observed Krilo's hands. Perceptive as always, Krilo admired. In the quiet suburbs, crows cawed atop ancient trees, like the whistle before a match. The battle's overture. Zeno attacked first. A mind dragon coiled around his hands. The purple mind dragon grew visibly, its tens of meters long body hovering in the air. Dragonhead opera painting. The purple mind dragon fully manifested, closing in on Krilo. Close range move, just keep your distance. Silva dismissed the spectacle. Unlike the novel, they were currently disadvantaged. Leo and Uvagin simultaneously rushed Silva. But Silva was lightning fast. Leo, not yet deployed with Sword Zero, and Uvagin, lacking agility, struggled to keep pace. They left Pakonoda and Killua behind, focusing on the fight. Leo gripped Dragon's son and eyed Silva's swift movements with intent. So fast, and so heavy. Uvogin snarled as a bruise blossomed on his iron-like body. Leo maintained his focus. Though diverging from his original plan, this was the kind of fight he needed. Frankly, with Hisoka's combat experience, no one here would stand a chance against Leo. The scabbard enhanced Leo's nen. It had been proven when Hisoka first faced Illumi, once mistaking him for a transformation-type nen user. Cut. The ordinary slash sounded like a stone dropped into water, sending ripples of sword energy through the air. That seemingly simple strike sliced everything around in half. Uvogin leaped from the battlefield almost instantly. "Hey! You trying to chop me down?" he growled. Leo said nothing, still tracking Silva. Dragon's son retracted, silent but ready. Uvogin wasn't wrong. Leo had indeed planned to chop him, but plans always bend to circumstance. Adaptability was his strength. Silva stepped back from the center, eyeing the torn building cleaved by Leo. Smooth stone surfaces bore witness to the strike's power. "Are you okay?" Zeno, who was flying with Kurlo, called out. "I'm fine, no, wait." Silva stared at his shredded clothes. He dodged Leo's energy, yet still got scratched. He'd underestimated it. At the same time, a crack appeared across Uvogin's body, and rage flared on his face. Chapter 27. Leo. What happened to you? Kurlo had several new wounds. He hadn't expected that even in a 3-on-2 situation, they'd be the ones at a disadvantage. Uvogin, go help the captain. You know I don't have enough experience, it's hard for me to control the sword energy, Leo said with a simple expression. I won't. Anger rises from the soul. When it erupts, the body no longer obeys. Leo smirked inwardly. Then don't blame me, Uvogin. Seeing the captain pinned by Zeno, he'd already begun planning to turn the tables. A simple phone call could resolve this skirmish, but he didn't want to miss the opportunity. He dropped his Ia stance and walked toward Uvogin, entirely unguarded. Uvogin saw it as trust. He could easily end Leo's life with a single punch. In the distance, Silva didn't think so. As an elite assassin, he'd seen this tactic too many times. The familiarity reminded him of battles from his youth. Facing stronger enemies, he had once turned defeat into victory through exploiting fleeting lapses in attention. Now, he understood, there was something wrong with this boy. Uvogin, go help the captain. As he walked closer, Leo unexpectedly sobered. He softened. He couldn't do it. Though he could kill strangers, Uvogin was Nobunaga's closest friend. What would Nobunaga do if his apprentice killed his brother? You're hard to read. For a moment there, I really thought you were going to kill me, Uvogin said, his voice layered with meaning. A new joke? Leo replied calmly. If that's what you want to believe, sure. Uvogin exhaled. That sense of impending danger had been real. Leo did have the intent to kill, but why had he given it up? Or why intend to kill at all? Uvogin dropped the thought. Overthinking wasn't his strength, hence the wild hair. He sidestepped Leo, leaving his back fully exposed, unguarded. Trust? Or a test? Leo didn't need to answer. He and the Phantom Troop were just passing travelers to one another. He wasn't a justice-obsessed admiral. He wasn't an avenger like Kurapika. Why should he burden himself with the troop's fate? That was Kurapika's karma, not his. Who are you? On the other side, Silva was confused. Weren't you about to strike? You already misled your target, so why stop now? Hello, my name is Leo. I want to be the world's top hunter. I want to be the strongest nen user. I want to explore the Dark Continent. I hate lying. And, I'm 17. After many days, Leo finally smiled with relief. 17? The expression Leo had been waiting for finally appeared on Silva's usually calm face. He beamed. Really? Look at my ID. He eagerly tossed his ID to Silva, seemingly forgetting who they were to each other. Silva didn't take the opportunity to strike. He instead carefully examined the ID's authenticity. You want to go to the Dark Continent? If you really intend to, come to Kukuru Mountain someday. You'll find something unexpected. But you'll need money. With that, Silva returned the ID. The two had become unlikely companions, casually chatting while standing on the battlefield. Killua, what's going on? Him? He followed us. Your son's pretty gutsy. I've got a long way to go. I can't compare to you. How did you get so strong by 17? Hee, that's called the golden finger, basically, a lucky cheat. Get it? Kind of. So this power wasn't gained through effort? I honed it through effort. But the core of it didn't come from me. That's not bad. It proves you're qualified to become the strongest Nen user. Meanwhile, with Uvogin joining the fight, the battle reset. Zeno had to split an additional mind dragon to block Uvogin. Krillow's pressure eased, allowing him to shift strategy. He pulled out Bandit's secret and changed his stolen Nen ability, this time, a black Colt pistol. If Zeno liked longer-range games, he'd play along. A seeker of knowledge without desire. Krillow aimed at Zeno and pulled the trigger. The elliptical bullet shot forward. As the mind dragon closed in, the bullet split into dozens, falling like a rain of petals. Zeno, nimble, dodged with ease, but dodging interrupted his own attack. Uvogin seized the chance, rushing Zeno and landing a full-force destructive punch. Need backup? Silva called. No. Just a minor scrape. Silva raised a coiled mind dragon to shield against the punch's shockwave. Boom. An explosion kicked up clouds of sand and dust. Krillow took the chance to fire more bullets at Zeno. But they were swallowed by a rising mind dragon. Atop its head, Zeno reappeared, looking down at the two troop members below. Suddenly, Zeno's phone rang. Illumi? Got it. Zeno descended slowly on the mind dragon. Rubbing his shoulders, he muttered, young people have no shame these days, ganging up on an old man. Ha ha, who's bullying who? Krillow wiped blood from his mouth. Leo and Silva rejoined the group. Krillow turned to Leo and asked, what happened to you? Leo shook his head. Nothing. More importantly, Captain, we're overtime. Krillow's face changed. He rushed toward the Gordo Desert. Leo and Silva followed after, waving as they went. Oh? Looks like you two are getting along, Zeno noted with interest. Not bad. But he's only 17, Silva nodded. 17? Half an hour later, Leo and the others finally reached the rendezvous point with Hisoka. They were already an hour late. If the others had left, it would have been understandable. But Hisoka hadn't left, nor had Kurapika. Both men, obsessed with the troop, now stood charged with intensity. One burned with fury, the other with the heat of war. Seeing Hisoka, Krillow let out a breath and quickly approached. Where are my members? From the shadows, Kurapika emerged, holding a pair of chains, shaped like human limbs. They resisted too fiercely. I accidentally killed them, Kurapika said, locking eyes with Krillow. He wanted to see sorrow, make him feel the same pain. But he only saw an emotionless face. What kind of face was it? No trace of humanity. Like a machine wearing skin. And then, to everyone's shock, Leo spoke up, Captain, I want to quit the group. Chapter 28. After hearing what Leo said, everyone present, including Krillow, was stunned. Maki's intuition can be wrong sometimes. So, you actually betrayed the troop a long time ago? Krolo began piecing together all the suspicious clues. Ever since Illumi joined the operation, the fate of the Phantom Troop seemed manipulated by an invisible hand. Did you kill those knights? Yuvagin's face turned grim, his voice as cold and hard as steel, sending chills through the air. Hearing Yuvagin's question, Leo scratched his short hair, looking embarrassed. Yeah, that one's on me. I didn't expect Phaeton to release a fatal counterattack upon death. The situation was urgent, there was no way to take Shanark and Franklin with me. You bastard! Yuvagin roared, his aura storming out like a violent gale. Ha 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 ha. Just then, laughter echoed. Everyone looked up to see Kurapika brushing his face with his left hand and gripping his heart with his right. You feel sorrow? You feel anger too? Leo couldn't help but admire it. So this was what it meant to laugh while crying. Chain user? I almost forgot about you, Yuvagin growled. Leo and the troop have no deep grudge with you. So, you're the mastermind. He gathered his aura into his fist. Super destructive punch. A red burst of Nen exploded from his hand, shaking the very air. This punch was even stronger than the one he'd thrown at Zeno earlier. The hill where Kurapika and Hisoka stood shattered instantly. Kurapika casually tossed Maki and Shizuku aside, flinging them like garbage. He leapt between the flying debris and descended to the ground. Come on. Show me your anger, your sorrow, your pain, Kurapika shouted, his eyes, ranked among the world's 7 most beautiful, flaring scarlet again. The moment Krolo saw those eyes, he remembered the Korta clan, wiped out by their hands 4 years ago. It's revenge, he muttered. That's right. Krolo, the sins you carry are too heavy. No matter the reason, they can never be redeemed. He is your judge. Leo now stood beside Krolo, observing the grudges long buried beneath the dust. Redemption? Krolo echoed, contemplating the word. Redemption only applied to evil men swayed by something greater. Do you think the troop needs redemption? Krolo asked. Yes. Everyone yearns for redemption, because darkness exists in all hearts. But perhaps you don't, Illumi interrupted, then continued, each troop member has their own reason for becoming part of the spider, but Krolo, do you? Reason? I suppose. No. Why? I should have one, right? Krolo frowned in confusion. Ha! Because you're the spider, Leo sneered. Don't you see? It all began with you. Without you, Yuvagin and the others would have died on Meteor City, or become tools of the elders. But due to your desires and ambition, they were turned into ashes. The legs of your spider. Ha, you know quite a bit. Krolo's face shifted from curiosity to coldness. The voice that emerged from him was like the chill of the underworld, deep and razor-sharp. This is you, Krolo Lucifer, Illumi said with conviction, momentarily stunned by the change. He had to accept it. People capable of killing their emotions were destined for greatness. Throughout history, such people always appeared, rarely, but they were always called heroes. Oh my! 2 very unreasonable men, chatting away while ignoring the protagonist. How rude! Hisoka emerged from the dusty air, approaching Krolo. He looked unnaturally limp, stooped over with arms hanging near the ground, like he had rickets. Shiver. So cold. I envy people like you, brimming with murderous intent, Hisoka murmured. Leo instinctively stepped back, this man was ready. Leo backed off, finding a good spot to watch today's main event, Hisoka vs Krolo. As for Kurapika, his plot seemed to follow the original storyline, less interesting. But could things go as Leo expected, drama-free? Of course not. Kurapika had already captured Yuvagin using his judgment chain. But he didn't attack right away. He didn't unleash hatred as he had in the original story. Stop struggling, Kurapika sighed. Struggle? There's only life and death in the troop, no struggle, said Uvogin, now trapped and worn out after multiple failed escape attempts. If you had a second chance, would you still join the troop? Kurapika asked with eerie calm. What a dumb question. Of course I would. Without the troop, there'd be no Uvogin, he answered without hesitation. Really? Then what if I killed everyone else, and left only you? Kurapika said, dragging over the bound Maki and Shizuku. Tell me what you'd do. I might make my decision based on your answer. Uvogin's eyes went wide with rage. If you want to kill me first. I don't want to be the one left behind. You don't? But I'll make you. Kurapika suddenly drove a chain into one of them. How does that feel? Tell me. Ah. Under the fiery scarlet gaze, Uvogin howled. Is that it? That's not enough. It's not enough to calm my fury, he shouted, plunging the chain into another. Watching this unfold, Uvogin's fierce expression slowly faded, replaced by a quiet, relieved smile. PFT. A mouthful of blood, mixed with a soft fleshy mass, sprayed across Kurapika's face. He looked down. Uvogin had bitten off his own tongue. Ha! Kurapika exhaled, blood on his face, then collapsed. Pain. In this moment, he finally understood why revenge hurt so much. Dad? Mom? Grandpa? His soul screamed for answers, but no one could answer him. Chapter 29. Kurapika, once again devastated by the deaths of Phantom Troop members, collapsed onto the sand with his eyes tightly shut. He was lost, conflicted. This path only brought pain. What was the point of revenge? On the other side of the sand wall, the battle between Krilo and Hisoka had begun. Stretchable love. Hisoka made the first move, attaching his aura to stones around Krilo, then charged straight at him. Before Krilo could even retrieve Bandit's secret, he was met with a whipping kick. He raised his right arm to block and, with his free hand, pulled out Bandit's secret. Destroyers in pairs. Careful, I've marked the sun seal on my left hand and the moon seal on my right. If they touch, they explode. Krilo explained calmly after pushing Hisoka away, but he withheld the most critical condition. Unlike the duel in Heaven's Arena, this time Krilo was nearly unprepared. Though the seal could be applied in an instant, it required 3 to 5 seconds of contact to fully charge. But Hisoka wouldn't give him that window. Oh? Then I'll look forward to it. Hisoka suddenly severed his aura connection, and a thought-imbued stone shot toward Krilo's arm. Despite trying to block, Krilo was bruised by the sudden strike. Lack of information about Hisoka made Krilo the first to be injured. But for people who lived on the edge of death, such wounds were trivial. Gyo. Krilo focused on the aura Hisoka had left on his arm. He noticed Hisoka liked to plant aura during his attacks. What a troublesome ability, Krilo muttered. Suddenly, he kicked away the stone tethered to Hisoka, teleported behind him, and slammed both palms into Hisoka's back. Boom. Like thunder erupting behind him, Krilo leapt back, switching his ability via Bandit's secret. A seeker of knowledge without desire. He fired several basketball-sized bullets toward the spot where Hisoka had landed. Just as Hisoka tried to dodge, the Nen bullets exploded, piercing through him. That's it. Hisoka stood back up, completely unscathed. He licked his lips, eyes sharpening. Not even a scratch? While dodging Hisoka's barrage of kicks and punches, Krilo wondered how he defended against the Nen bullets. Could it be a hidden Nen ability? Seizing an opening, Krilo locked Hisoka's hands, preparing to mark him, when a sickening pop echoed. Hisoka twisted his own arms and broke free. He ignored his disabled hands, unleashing a flurry of lightning-quick kicks, leaving afterimages in the air. Krilo blocked, but soon realized, his hands were stuck together. Oops. Forgot about my ability, didn't you? Hisoka smirked, then drove a kick into Krillow's abdomen, sending him flying. Bracing on the ground, he slammed his arms hard, snapping them back into place. Krillow scowled. This ability was incredibly annoying, even a brush of contact left him tethered to Hisoka's aura. Worse, even without contact, Hisoka could project aura at will. Leo, watching from a distance, felt itching excitement. He longed to join the fray. How can a spider with no web fight a clown who's been craving blood? Both fighters had refined their bodies and nen beyond normal limits. Hisoka was pure, savage instinct. Krillow was complex, adaptable. The night was silent and deep. The stars blinked down at the Gobi Desert. Under his composed exterior, Hisoka's body was riddled with wounds. Though Krillow looked unscathed, internally he was battered. The two danced across the battlefield, exchanging fists and feet in rapid bursts. Suddenly, Krillow's legs were snared. Hisoka lunged forward and kicked him hard. Boom! Krillow smashed into the sand, carving a massive crater into the desert. Even from a distance, Leo winced. That was one devastating kick. Lying in the crater, Krillow's eyes darkened. He couldn't sense Yuvagin's aura from the beginning. Was he captured? Or killed? The odds were against him. He swapped out his ability, healing his surface wounds, then glanced toward Leo, still watching, amused. 2 against 1. Maybe 3. Was this the end? Was he going to die? He hadn't felt this sensation in a long time. The last person to evoke it was Silva. He leapt out of the crater, shaking sand from his body. Where was Hisoka? That brief lapse, he'd already lost track of him. Krillow instantly activated N. Only Illumi, Leo, and the 4 unconscious bodies lay nearby. Only Yuvagin's aura was gone. A single hot tear welled in his eye. As Krillow despaired, Hisoka moved in to deliver the final blow. Having learned from Leo's Sword Zero, Hisoka had created a similar move, using bungee gum as a slingshot tether. This technique depended on geography. The loose, shifting sand was a problem, until he found a few stable boulders. Once Hisoka had looped ropes around Krillow, the fight was over. Thanks for waiting. His voice came with a sonic boom. But Krillow couldn't locate him. Too fast. Booms echoed around him, deafening, unstoppable. Leo, observing from afar, realized Hisoka had shamelessly copied Sword Zero, wrapping himself in nen and launching like a slingshot repeatedly, each bounce multiplying his speed. Dust and sound filled the air as Hisoka tore across the desert like a rocket. When it finally settled, Hisoka stood beside Leo, holding a still beating heart. Ah! So boring, he muttered. Thief! Leo barked, furious. Angry? Relax. I'll pay you royalties. You won't even owe me for the playing cards anymore. Hisoka tossed Krillow's heart aside and sat down cross-legged. Seriously? Of course. That move was brilliant. But the terrain here sucked. These boulders and the Gobi Desert couldn't handle my momentum, Hisoka said with a sigh. Exactly. The weakness is obvious. Not nearly as clean as my sword spirit, Leo said with satisfaction. Haha. Want to fight again? That duel with Krillow was kind of dull. The spark of bloodlust reignited in Hisoka's eyes. Pass. Let's focus on stopping the bleeding. Leo looked at Hisoka's gleaming, cheerful exterior, but he knew it was a lie. That body was full of holes. Chapter 30. Leo acted as the cleaner of the battlefield. He burned the bodies of Krillow and Yuvagin. In this world where abilities are bizarre and unpredictable, resurrection isn't out of the question, as seen with Kite and Hisoka. He feared the Phantom Troop might remember him, so he chose to ensure their end now. After collecting their ashes, Leo turned his gaze to Shizuku and Maki, still bound by chains. Shizuku would be easy, hand her over to the Hunter Association. But what about Maki? Maki had been kind to him. He couldn't repay kindness with betrayal. And he still wanted to protect Nobunaga. But both of them were old members of the troupe, which meant they'd participated in the Kurta massacre. Should he let them go secretly? But Kurapika would be devastated. At that moment, an invisible chain wrapped around Leo. Kurapika. What the hell are you doing? I won't hurt you. I just don't want you involved in what comes next, Kurapika said, breathing a sigh of relief. His judgment chain couldn't be used on anyone outside the troupe. If Leo was chained, it meant he was still officially a member. Kurlo never approved his departure. Leo's expression turned cold. If you kill Nobunaga, I'll avenge him. Haha, really? That's not bad. I've had enough of revenge. Maybe it's time I try being the one avenged, Kurapika replied, injecting Illumi with an anesthetic. You. Hisaka had been watching the whole scene unfold. He didn't lift a finger to help. This was far more entertaining. Need medical help? Kurapika asked, noting the blood on Hisaka. Of course. But what's the price? Hisaka grinned. He knew Kurapika wanted something. Watch the remaining troupe members. Don't let them escape, but don't kill them either. I'll handle that. No big deal. The two of them loaded Leo and the two other chain dumplings into a car and drove toward the troupe's hideout. Leo had already shared the location. Though it was his first time there, he had memorized the terrain perfectly and didn't take a single wrong turn. When they arrived at the abandoned building, Hisaka leaped out and set up his bungee gum ropes across several nearby structures to eliminate escape routes. He liked this technique more and more. It might become his new signature. Kurapika dragged the three prisoners inside. After securing the ropes, Hisaka followed. Although his role was only to prevent escape, 4 troupe members remained. Now that Kurlo was gone, he valued his remaining toys even more. As Kurapika entered the hollow building, Nobunaga and Pakinoda sensed him almost immediately. But Kurapika hadn't bothered to hide the clinking of chains. Chain user? Why are you here? Where's the captain? Finks asked urgently. Captain? Right here. Kurapika released the ashes of Kurlo and Uvagin, gleaming under the full moonlight. Captain? You're welcome, I was kind enough to collect his body. Ah. You bastard. I'll kill you, Nobunaga roared. Come try. I've got 3 hostages, 2 women and a man. Kurapika loosened one chain, revealing a face. Shizuku. Maki. Illumi. You bastard. Who the hell are you? Kurapika scanned the ruins, spotting Bonolanov tending to Finks, and Biscuit, bound tightly. Which of you recognize these eyes? Nobunaga froze. A Kurta avenger. No complaints. Kill him, he said coldly. So, you all know each other. Good, you can die together. Kurapika unleashed his chains. Finks was weak in close combat. Within moments, he was severely injured and down. But Nobunaga was a different story. Kurapika's chains couldn't get within 4 meters of him. Need help? Seems like you're struggling, came Hisaka's voice from above. He had been perched on the windowsill for some time. No need, Kurapika said coolly. Hisaka chuckled inwardly. What a stubborn nut. But this Nobunaga was stronger than he'd expected. That infamous 4 meter in radius, widely misunderstood. Nobunaga's N wasn't like others. His was refined through kendo training, akin to ordinary people mastering Jijinkan-like basics. It was calm, smooth, and low on nen consumption. Maintaining it during battle was extremely difficult, but Nobunaga did it as instinct. Very strong. Hisaka was tempted, but decided to let Kurapika handle it. After several fruitless attacks, Kurapika slowly closed the distance. Just as Nobunaga prepared to strike, Kurapika suddenly pulled in his chains and charged, feigning surrender. Nobunaga seized the chance. He drew his katana. Clang! Kurapika blocked the blade and wrapped a chain around the sword, tying it. "How strong are you without a sword?" Kurapika asked, then smashed his right fist into Nobunaga. Thanks to Emperor Time, Kurapika could now use 100% of all nen types. The punch landed hard. Nobunaga coughed blood. His sword was still tangled in chains that even disrupted his aura flow. His nen abilities were sealed. "What a cursed chain! Is this how you killed the captain?" Nobunaga muttered, disappointed. "Yeah. You're next." Kurapika launched another assault. But Nobunaga, ranked 9th in physical strength among the troop, couldn't keep up. Especially wounded. After a few more rounds, Kurapika exploited his weakened state and floored him. Bang! Just as Kurapika moved in for the final strike, a gunshot rang out. He dodged, turning to see Pakunoda with a manifested revolver. Kurapika threw away Nobunaga's sword and lashed out with his chains. Banolanov, unprepared and unable to defend, was struck down, blood spraying. "Bastard!" Nobunaga, horrified, charged in a rage. But he was immediately blown away by Kurapika again. He charged again, same result. After 4 or 5 tries, Nobunaga collapsed into a pool of blood. Kurapika bound the unconscious Pakunoda and Nobunaga with chains. He didn't spare Finks either, still out cold. The Phantom Troop was completely defeated. Chapter 31. Kurapika carried batches of chained dumplings out of the abandoned building, along with the captured biscuit. According to Hisaka, this woman was definitely a hunter. Kurapika was preparing to strike a deal with the Hunter Association. His revenge quest had concluded, and he expected a long road ahead. But unexpectedly, Leo's supercar arrived and helped him complete his mission. He thanked Leo, but still intended to turn him into the association. In the Goth desert, Kurapika remembered what Melody had said: Illumi was too chaotic. Since he had no specific role, Kurapika decided to help him find one. With Illumi's talent, Kurapika mused, and this arrangement, he'll find his place in the association. Back at the hotel, Kurapika gradually lost interest in the Nozra family. He planned to return home for a while to pay tribute to his fallen clan. The next day, Biscuit awoke, her eyes roving around the unfamiliar ceiling, and instantly pondered 3 philosophical questions: who am I? Where am I? Where am I going? Moments later, memories flooded back, her anger flared. "That bastard Leo," she hissed. "Has Leo ever crossed you?" 2 chained dumplings with exposed, youthful heads lay on the bed beside Biscuit. Shizuku and Maki had stirred earlier, but were still groggy from anesthesia, and Kurapika's chains bound them tightly. "That jerk. He took me to the brigade's base and colluded with those brutes to bully me." Biscuit shrank into a petite, lolly form at the shocked gazes of the other 2. "Maki," Shizuku gasped, looking at Kurapika with fierce distrust. Though her memory was foggy, she would never forget this man. "What did you mean by former brigade?" Biscuit asked quietly. "Everyone's been captured," said Kurapika, entering the room filled with women. "Even Illumi, though more than half of them were killed by me." "What? Chain hands. I'll kill you," Maki roared. "Hey, bring it." Kurapika smiled coldly. "That includes Captain Kurlo." Maki lunged, but could not break free. "The brigade's not so easy to take down," Shizuku added, glowering. "My name is Kurapika," he stated calmly. "A Kurta survivor. I became a hunter to avenge my clan, and I'll deliver the remaining 6 to the Hunter Association." "A hunter?" Biscuit eyed him, surprised. "Yes." He nodded. "And I intend to turn them all in. Actually, it's 5 left. The blonde woman committed suicide." Hisaka's head popped in at the door. Thinks? Committed suicide? Maki asked, sorrow breaking her voice. Right, Maki. You should have picked me. If you had, Leo might have never joined the brigade, and you folks wouldn't be in this mess. Hisaka smiled mockingly. If Maki had a say, she'd sew his mouth shut on the spot. So, I wrongly accused Illumi, but why capture him too? He's an association member? Biscuit pressed. Kurapika shook his head. No. He conformed. Oh, she considered. So you didn't kill all the brigade. Who knows, maybe I got tired of their stench. Kurapika's eyes carried a distant loneliness. Biscuit understood. He was basically a good child, charming, unique, gifted. Like a ruby in the rough. Do you have a master? She asked, eyes gleaming with predatory interest. Yes. Do I need more training? Don't look at me like that, I've practiced Nen for 40 years. No need. He refused, but clearly intrigued by this captured hunter. Leo is awake too. Do we untie him? Zushi's voice drifted in. If it's safe, be my guest. Kurapika replied, heading to Illumi's room. Biscuit followed, curiosity about this Leo growing with each step. How did Leo know the target? Why join the brigade? And why betray them? Huh? Biscuit? You here too? Leo looked anxious when he saw her. Hey, can't I be here? This isn't your home. Ahem, this is his room, Kurapika interjected on Leo's behalf. Hiss. You kidnapped him in his own place? Badass. Biscuit crowed. It's not my doing, Hisaka waved dismissively and slipped away. Where's Nobunaga? Illumi asked Kurapika. Alive. Good, then there's no reason we're enemies. Illumi exhaled in relief. Maybe more. I plan to hand over all brigade members to the association. Including me? Yes. Leo's brows shot upward, his eyes wide in disbelief. That's your thanks? Kurapika didn't reply. To Biscuit he asked, if I turn them in, will Leo be absolved? Absolved from what? Biscuit laughed. Illumi doesn't appear to have done anything criminal. The crime is in belonging to the brigade, Kurapika replied coldly, not meeting Illumi's gaze, then turned to leave. Now only Leo and Biscuit remained. Hey, Sister Biscuit, could you be a little gentler? Leo sounded nervous. Biscuit gave an exasperated smile. I'm old enough to be your grandmother. Don't worry, I've no intention of hurting you. Now, tell me about your time after leaving the Sky Arena. Ah, Leo hesitated. That story begins with a murder case. Chapter 32. Leo and the rest of the troop were sent by Kurapika to the Hunter Association's branch in Ukexen City, awaiting a decision from headquarters. Biscuit departed for Greed Island, the elusive blue planet she'd long desired. Before leaving, she contacted Netero and relayed the full story involving Illumi and the others. Chairman Netero took the matter seriously and said he would go to Ukexen personally. Hisaka also set off on his journey, seeking new prey. Inside the confinement room of the association branch, Leo was in a training stance, practicing the N technique, the first step in mastering his Sword Zero. But Leo was struggling. During his break, he reread the materials Biscuit had left for him, again and again. N, an advanced fusion of Ren and Ten, allows one's aura to expand outward in a circle from the body, detecting intrusions within that range. The minimum requirement, extending your aura at least 2 meters and maintaining it for over a minute. The essence of N is to maximize Ren, then stabilize it using Ten. Leo had no issue with Ren, he could release his aura to over 100 meters in an instant. But stabilizing it with Ten was where he faltered. Every time he tried, he felt like a man who had inherited $1 billion in cash but had no idea how to spend it, a metaphor for being unworthy of his own power. His 10 simply couldn't anchor the energy unleashed by Ren. I failed again. If I'd known it was this hard, I'd have gone with Biscuit to Greed Island for free tutoring, Leo sighed, staring east with lifeless eyes. What a boast. Try reducing your output during Ren and start again. A deep, magnetic voice spoke from outside the confinement room, sounding like that of a middle-aged man. Leo? If spending $1 billion is too hard, why not spend $3 on a bottle of soda? Suddenly, it clicked. He tried again, this time releasing only 1/10 of his aura. Then, using 10, he guided the flow. With this fine control, the aura gradually reached equilibrium. A silver circle spread 20 meters around him. Though his eyes were shut, Leo could perceive everything within the 1,200 square meter space as if it were the back of his hand. You learn quickly. Good aptitude. From the aura you released earlier. Was that 1/5 of your total output? A tall, imposing middle-aged man stepped into the aura field. Roughly. Leo played it cool. He didn't know this man's background, but his power was immense. The strongest Nen user Leo had encountered since arriving in this world. His aura, turbulent like a stormy sea, sent waves through Leo's spirit. Don't lose focus. Keep your end stable and try extending the duration, the man said. Hearing this, Leo held his breath, cleared his mind, and focused. Gradually, the ripples in his aura subsided. 1 hour passed. Then 2. Then 12. Leo finally stopped. Not because he couldn't go on, but because the man's glare suggested he might start throwing punches. Monster. I underestimated your endurance, the man muttered. Thank you, Senior. May I ask your name? Leo replied respectfully, lowering his voice. Beyond Netero. Just call me Beyond. With that, he opened the confinement room door. The Hunter Association's confinement rooms were pitch-black traditional cells. Normally, prisoners were bound with Nen-restricting cuffs and shackles. But Biscuit had secured special privileges for Leo. In the dim corridor light, Leo could finally see Beyond clearly. He was a head taller, with a topknot and a long beard. His face was marked with 2 fierce scars crossing at the brows. He wore loose, ancient robes. If not for his face, he almost resembled a Taoist immortal. Beyond Netero? Leo blinked. That name sounded familiar, so did the face. You noticed? Beyond chuckled at Leo's expression. My full name is Beyond Netero. Netero, Leo gasped. This was Chairman Netero's son? That old immortal is far too famous, Beyond grumbled. Well. He is the strongest Nen user on the continent, Leo replied. Him? Half buried and still claiming to be the strongest? That settled it, father and son weren't on great terms. Leo, choosing not to get involved in their drama, asked, so you came to see me? That's right. More precisely, I came to see you, and the Phantom Troop. Beyond pointed to nearby holding cells. Leo's brow arched. He scratched his smooth chin and looked around. Beyond laughed. Relax. I'm here to offer you a way out. Come with me. Leo understood instantly, recruitment. He shrugged. If you can convince anyone else in the troop, I'll go along with it. Beyond looked momentarily surprised. Apparently, dealing with the troop wasn't easy. All right, he said. Considering your talent, I'll give you that. Wait here, I'll be back. The light in the room faded. A door closed with a soft thud, and darkness returned. Phew. Leo exhaled in relief. At least, for now, he didn't have to board the black ship. Hey hunters. Cult break. Stretch a little, drink some water, touch some grass after this if possible. Anyway, did you know the royal guards were partially inspired by gods from Egyptian mythology? Especially Neferpito, the cat-like design echoes Bastet. Pretty cool. Now let's keep going. Chapter 33. 2 days had passed since Beyond Netero left, and he hadn't returned. Though he'd spoken with confidence, Leo knew better. If the Phantom Troop had even 1 foot left standing, they would keep moving forward. That was the kind of influence Krilo Lucifer had on them. Truly erasing that organization would take time. Leo continued honing his N technique. He could now barely stabilize a radius of 30 meters. Though the range of N doesn't entirely measure a person's strength, it directly reflects one's control and temperament. Leo's N gradually expanded while maintaining stability. At that moment, he sensed another powerful presence entering his N. If Beyond Netero was like stormy waves, this aura was like a still ocean. It conveyed unwavering will and firm resolve. A sense of Zen flowed through Leo's heart, instantly calming him and giving him a sense of enlightenment. He felt as if he had seen Guanyin. Crunch. A sliver of light pierced the confinement room. Darkness, like a frightened animal, retreated in waves. Not bad. A sharp N like that certainly brims with vitality, praised a voice from the doorway, belonging to a man over 100 years old. Leo quickly stood up, visibly excited. "Hello, Chairman Netero." "No need for such formality," Netero said, stroking his beard. "Kurapika wants me to keep you within the Hunter Association. What do you think?" Through Biscuit's account, Netero had formed a rough impression of this boy named Leo: strong, cunning, lucky, positionally ambiguous, and a habitual liar. He reminded Netero of someone else troublesome. A certain vice-chairman flashed in his mind. Leo hesitated for a moment before answering, "I've no objections. I'm just a small boat adrift with the current. If I can catch the wave that is the Hunter Association, that's a good thing." "Ha, don't talk about catching waves. The association's full of problems right now," Netero said, rubbing his temples. "But with you here, those problems might as well not exist, right?" Leo said confidently. "Maybe. But who knows how many days these old bones have left." For a moment, Netero's face, usually so energetic, carried a hint of weariness. "Chairman, you must be joking. You'll surely live past 100, Leo offered quickly. 100, you say?" Netero's expression darkened, and Leo instantly realized his mistake. Maybe living that long wasn't a blessing to someone like Netero. "That's not what I meant, sir." "Forget it. Let's cut to the chase," Netero said, resuming a more serious tone. "Assigning you is easy. But for the others, it's not so simple. They've committed too many murders. They have too many enemies. There are many who'd rather see them executed." He paused, then looked Leo in the eye. "But I'm not a devil. I believe they deserve a chance at redemption, but only if someone strong and familiar with the troop is willing to supervise them." Leo blinked, pointing at himself. "Me?" Netero nodded several times, his long braid bouncing up and down. "Sir, you may not realize this, but the rest of the troop wants me dead," Leo said with a wry smile. "No worries. Kurapika set a condition: they can't harbor any killing intent toward you. If they do, their hearts will be pierced by his chains." At this, Leo instinctively touched his chest. As far as he could sense, that little blade of judgment had vanished, likely removed when he was unconscious. "Then why should I lead them? There's a division within the association that works with hunters on assignments from governments or corporations. They're known as collaborative specialists. Not well liked, mind you. One of them's interested in the troop structure and wants to replicate it. You're the prototype team's executor." "Wait, Chairman, you mean I have to keep leading the troop?" Leo's face sank. Only now did he truly understand Neon's prophecy. "Do I have any other choice?" Netero shook his head. "Kurapika is too idealistic. The troop's past crimes can't be erased so easily. Even if you've done nothing wrong, once that spider tattoo is seen, you'll be treated like a criminal. Leo buried his face in his hands and remembered beyond Netero's visit 2 days ago. Why did I pretend to be noble? Why act like a hero from Liangshan? If I had agreed to Beyond, I wouldn't be caught up in this mess, he thought bitterly. I said I was a boat sailing with the wind. If there's a storm ahead, I guess I'll just face it. Feeling resigned, Leo stepped out of the confinement room, passing Netero. Training there had been smooth, but the world outside was brighter, more alive. He chose that path without hesitation. Don't be so pessimistic. Did you forget who I am? Netero called after him. Chairman? Do you still have real authority? Leo asked bluntly. Just a little bit. Netero had become a symbolic figure in the association. Most decisions bypassed him now. That was the polite way of putting it. In truth, he was being sidelined, reduced to a mere mascot. The political complications ran deep. Where are the others? Leo asked, noticing the empty detention cells. They've already been taken to headquarters. We're heading there soon. When we arrive, don't hold back, show them what you've got. I've got your back. Netero's reassurance rang true, but Leo wasn't planning to show off. When you can't change the system, you go with the flow. That's the law of this world, the hunter world, where the first boss always falls, and the second takes the prize. Chapter 34. Ha! Hey! I can't hit it. I can't touch it. Chairman, is this supposed to be fun? Inside the massive training room of a flying airship, the figures of Leo and Netero flashed rapidly. Just a little more. If you can take my watch, I might stop the airship and secretly let someone go, Netero teased, wiping sweat from his brow, while Leo stood opposite him, also drenched in sweat. Huff. Ha. Leo took 2 deep breaths and glared at Netero with exasperation. Easy for him to say, the target was a mechanical watch on Netero's wrist. And the old man's arms? They were beyond even Uvogin. Even if Leo used his full sword 0, he doubted he could rip that watch off. Forget it. I accept my fate. Physically and mentally spent, Leo collapsed flat on his back. Netero lightly leapt over and landed beside him, casting a curious look. If this kid had held out a bit longer, he might have passed out entirely. Ah, youth really is a blessing. TSK. A man should last longer, you clearly need more training. We've been doing this for 2 days straight. How long should I last? Leo grumbled. TSK. Just 2 days. Back in my day. As his mind drifted into unconsciousness, Leo imagined his high school chemistry teacher, the melody of a lullaby looping over and over in the background. He really wanted to apologize to that teacher. He was just a chemistry dropout who couldn't even memorize the periodic table, and he hated that song. The next day, the airship descended over the Hunter Association and landed. Leo followed Netero through the halls of headquarters. Don't be so down, said Netero, glancing over his shoulder. You became a hunter through the back door, you know. Hunters are the world's alternative nobility. Hunter privileges include free access to networks, 95% of public facilities, first-tier bank financing, access to 90% of otherwise restricted countries, and 75% of prohibited zones. You can even travel internationally without a passport. Leo said nothing, keeping his head down and trying to minimize his presence. Seeing this, Netero brought him to a giant wall plaque. These are the 10 rules for hunters, which I revised. You'll need to memorize them before you formally enter. Hearing that, Leo looked up at the large regulation board. A hunter must have a hunting target. A hunter must have at least basic martial training, meaning proficiency in Nen. A hunter's license is irrevocable and irreplaceable. Hunters may not treat fellow hunters as prey, unless the hunter has committed unforgivable crimes. A hunter who excels in a specific field may earn 1 star. A 2-star hunter must meet the 5th criterion and successfully mentor another hunter who earns a star. A 3-star hunter must fulfill the 6th criterion and make outstanding achievements in multiple fields. The chairman must earn the majority support of association members to hold office. If vacant, a new chairman must be elected. Until then, authority passes to the vice chairman. The chairman determines how new members join, but significant changes require a majority vote. All other matters are voted on by the chairman, vice chairman, and advisory committee, which are also selected by the chairman. Huh, Leo muttered after skimming the list. Why aren't you one of those clever types? Netero sighed. Judging by Leo's behavior, he had serious doubts about relying on him to lead the newly reorganized group. Chairman. You're back? A short, green bean-headed man jogged over with several documents. What now? Nothing went wrong while I was gone, right? Netero asked, tone stern and authoritative. This was typical of Netero, though everyone knew not to take his serious facade too seriously. Not really, the bean-faced man said. That new group, the former members of the December troop, caused some trouble, but the vice chairman took care of it. They're spirited, but raising hell inside headquarters. Unacceptable. They should have been punished, Netero said matter-of-factly. Yes, the vice chairman intervened directly. He also has plans to replace them. Replace them? Leo's eyes narrowed, and a sharp aura burst from his body, startling everyone around him. The bean-faced man instinctively backed up several steps. That chilling aura had nearly flayed his skin. He glanced cautiously at Leo, quickly realizing his mistake. That outburst must have been about the troop. Then that means he's the last spider? Recovering quickly, he added, special medical hunters have treated them. They're stable. But the vice chairman's replacement plan, that could kill them. Without the association's protection, they won't survive. Leo, now calm, retracted his dangerous aura and turned to Netero, his expression questioning, did you plan this? Netero gave him a helpless smile. In truth, the vice chairman had made a solid move. Leo had no choice but to go along. Come. Let's see your new home, Netero said, stepping into the elevator. 12 floors underground. The elevator doors opened to reveal a large, brightly lit space with crystal chandeliers, 12 desks, and polished ceramic floor tiles. The room echoed with the clicking of fax machines. And as the doors parted, Leo saw those familiar faces. Maki was flipping through a magazine with Shizuku, Nobunaga was tending to his treasured sword, and Finks sat in silence, staring blankly. The moment they spotted Leo, their expressions shifted. Maki's eyes filled with resentment and conflict. Shizuku looked frightened and quietly sad. Nobunaga's face morphed like a kaleidoscope, grief, confusion, maybe fury. And Finks just lowered his head, still and vacant. Chapter 35. Leo held his breath and looked at Nobunaga with guilt. Nobunaga had been his second teacher in this life, the one who taught him swordsmanship. I'm sorry about Uvagin. Nobunaga closed his eyes, his brows twitching from time to time, but he remained silent. Oh, sorry? You're only apologizing to Uvagin? 8 of us died, and that's all you've got to say? Maki's voice cracked. It had likely been a long time since she'd spoken. Suppressing the emotion in his heart, Leo spoke coldly, I merely helped them find redemption. And now, I'll give you the same choice, life or death. Choose life, and you stay in this new organization with me. Choose death, and attack me now. The chain of judgment in your hearts will fulfill its purpose. Maki instinctively moved, but a piercing cold spread through her chest. Shizuku quickly pulled her back. We're spiders. We're spiders, she said with quiet intensity, as if reminding herself of something vital. Maki's expression calmed. The captain had once said, "It's not individuals who should survive, but the spider." Their survival meant the spider still lived, and so did the captain's will. "No objections? Can I take that as agreement?" Leo asked icily. "Yes," Shizuku said evenly. "From now on, we are members of December." Leo exhaled, though his brow remained furrowed. Was it Krillow's will that kept them going? Mindless spiders still crawling forward, but to where? Even if he became the alpha wolf, deep down he was still a husky, he couldn't understand the pack's instincts. Not bad," said Netero, stepping forward. "Your new members are being selected. Results will be in tomorrow. Among them are hunters and criminals like yourselves. The strongest among you will be chosen as the leader." He leaned closer and whispered, "Leo, don't let me down." Ding dong. As the elevator doors closed, Netero and the bean-faced man left the December HQ. "Nobunaga? Maki? Shizuku? Don't talk to me unless it's important." "Thanks. TCH. Leo nearly cried. His first day in charge and he was already being cold-shouldered by the entire team. He found his assigned workstation by its plaque, Maue, crude pun in his own handwriting, reading something like Moon of Blooming Urine. Turning on his computer, Leo tried to distract himself with some games, but the system mostly offered old-school arcade stuff. The Hunter world had the aesthetics of the Heisei era, likely thanks to a certain mahjong-obsessed game developer. "It's so noisy. Put on headphones," Maki snapped. "Some people only think about themselves," Shizuku added. On screen, Kyo Kusanagi was being pulverized by the AI, and Leo sighed. The Phantom Troop. We're just a bunch of emotionally stunted kids. He shut the game off, stood, and headed toward the bedrooms. The association's underground facilities were vast, dozens of levels, each one shaped by the developer's interests. The 12th floor, where December was based, was about 3,000 square meters in area. Each member had their own bedroom, each the size of an average apartment. Leo was stunned. 12 rooms on the 12th floor for December, was this some kind of tongue twister? His luggage had been delivered, but inside his room, there was nothing useful, just a cracked egg and his sword, Dragon Son, without its sheath. Dragon Son. He thought. I want the scabbard. After months, the familiar sound of unsheathing echoed again. A slight smile curled on Leo's face. He materialized the scabbard and slid Dragon Son into place. I won't be alone, at least. I still have you, right? Scabbard? Scabbard, crawl. You're not even a sword. While Leo entered a training state, the rest of the troop gathered in hushed tones. What do we do about him? We can't beat him. We can't kill him. And now he's our leader? I regret this. I don't regret anything. So why should you? Maybe Leo's right. Maybe death isn't the worst option. Nobunaga, are you being mind-controlled? You wanna fight, Finks? Oh? A fight? Count us in too. Who the hell? They all turned. Two unfamiliar figures stood at the elevator. Hello. I'm Jack. And I'm Ove. We're S-Class bounty hunters. The Happy Brothers. ×2. At the words S-Class criminal, the troop went instantly on alert. Of course, worse than criminals. We're worse criminals. Relax. We've taken a vow not to kill. We won't harm you. When Jack smiled, his eyes vanished into fleshy creases. Yes, said Ove. We're on the same team, part of December, just like you. We're bounty hunters. Yes. So, can we join your little fight? Yes. Shut up. Yes. Nobunaga grinned, bloodlust sparking in his sunken eyes. Come on, then. Count me in. 2 versus 2, Finks said, cracking his knuckles. "Perfect," said Jack. "Just 2 on 2. Yes." They made their way to the gym on the 12th floor, which had a nearly 100 square meter ring. "Wait a sec, I need to activate my Nen ability," Jack said, eyes slitted. "Yes." Ove began preparing his Nen as well. Gate Dog of Hades. Hell's Flame Armor. Jack and Ove activated their abilities simultaneously. Near Jack, Nen beasts began to materialize, flooding the arena. Ove's ability manifested as flaming armor, and their powers clearly synced. Clack. Armor plates clicked into place, and soon the Nen beasts near them were fully equipped for war. "Careful," Jack warned. "My Nen beast can kill." Chapter 36. "Oh no, he's not an ordinary guy," Finks muttered, visibly uneasy. "Is this some kind of joke?" Nobunaga drew his shadow sword and launched the first strike. But what met his blade was a swarm of Nen beasts, an army rushing toward him like a tide. They resembled dogs, but with 3 heads, 2 tails, and armor that glowed like molten lava. These creatures weren't just for show. Indeed, Nobunaga's first slash was stopped cold by one of the 3-headed beasts. Its armor was nearly impenetrable, and its bite power was terrifying, like a true hellhound. The lava-like plating only added to its menacing aura. "This is bad. It's really tough," Nobunaga admitted. He sheathed the sword and eyed the beast warily, rubbing his wrist. That one swing had left his hand numb. "Puffy-eyed fish, time to get to work," Shizuku called out as she summoned her vacuum cleaner. The 2-on-2 battle had clearly been forgotten. "Miss, please keep that dangerous thing away from me," Jack said nervously, eyeing the approaching Shizuku. Their Nen fusion had created many casualties with the Hellhounds, but in close combat, their strength was about on par with a typical 200th floor Sky Arena fighter. "Why? If we just kill your Nen beasts, they'll vanish, right?" Shizuku blinked innocently, her big eyes shining. "We were just playing around. Let's not fight anymore," Jack said quickly, smiling and dispelling the beasts. Ove, ever the loyal brother, quietly followed suit and dismissed his armor. "Wow, S-rank indeed. Very impressive," Finks said sincerely. "Yeah, that first swing left my hand numb." "Amazing," Nobunaga added, just as earnestly. "Hee." Jack frowned slightly. "Are these guys really the spiders? Do they even have brains?" Something felt off. "Unfortunately, at this level, you're no match for our boss," Maki said coldly, voice dripping with disdain. "Boss? I thought the spider's head got crushed to death," Jack replied flatly. "You." Finks nearly leapt forward, but remembering Maki's plan, he restrained himself. "Sorry, was that too harsh?" Jack's tone turned mockingly sweet. "You're all so pitiful." "No. We have a new head now," Maki snapped. "And we just might kill you too soon, same as we did to the captain and the others." "Oh? Then I look forward to it," Jack grinned. He was nearly certain now, this group wanted to use the 2 of them to test the strength of their new boss. But they were S-class criminals. Veterans of death. Did the spiders really think they'd fall into a trap that easily? "Bring him out. Let's show him who's boss from now on," Jack declared, relishing the provocation. "Shizuku, go get him," said Maki. "Me? No way. Let's play rock paper scissors." "I'm not going to his room," Shizuku grimaced. In truth, she was scared Leo would take away another comrade. "Rock, paper, scissors." Maki, rock. Nobunaga, scissors. Finks, rock. Shizuku, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Nobunaga, paper. Shizuku, rock. "It's you. Go," Maki ordered, pointing toward Leo's room. Face bitter, Shizuku shuffled to the door of room 4. Knock knock knock. Who is it? Shizuku flinched just hearing Leo's voice. It's me. There are 2 new members. They want to meet you. Inside the room, Leo looked at the door with some confusion. Meet me? Just like that. He strapped Dragon Son to his waist and opened the door. Hey, shorty. Yeah, Leo, she muttered. Leo followed Shizuku back to the gym. This guy's your new boss? Jack asked, pointing at Leo. Leo's expression went cold the instant he entered. First impressions and someone was already pointing fingers? Rude. He drew Dragon Son slightly from its sheath, just 1 inch, and a wave of cold wind surged through the room. This guy's no joke, Ove said quietly. Yeah. Looks like it's time we get serious, Jack replied, his previously squinted eyes beginning to open. Chapter 37. Leo walked to the edge of the ring, surveying the furnishings. Pretty standard, no different from a gym in his previous life, except for the absurd scale. The lightest barbell here weighed a full ton. You 2 became S-rank bounty hunters using just those 3-headed dogs. Leo studied the brothers closely. The taller one was Jack, about 190 centimeters tall, with a lotus leaf haircut and a pudgy face that made his features appear minuscule. His eyes were almost permanently squinted. The shorter one, Ove, stood around 160 centimeters, with the same hairstyle. His Caucasian features made him slightly more presentable than his brother. Come on up and fight. Yes. Leo glanced at the army of 3-headed Nen beasts surrounding them, then examined the 100 square meter ring. Without hesitation, he drew his sword. Sword 0. He had no intention of wasting time on these newcomers. In a flash, his blade illuminated the entire arena. He's gotten stronger, Nobunaga muttered, watching the constant stream of sword aura with a conflicted expression. The long sword gleamed like the moon. The armored beasts were paper-thin in comparison. Leo's sword aura disintegrated them into dust. Crap. Before the brothers could react, Leo had already pressed the blade to Ove's throat. So. This is how you became S-rank bounty hunters. Honestly, I doubt you'd even make it into the Phantom Troop with this level. Leo didn't hold back his disappointment. If these were their recruits, then December was shaping up to be a cannon fodder squad. Haha. You'll see eventually. Could you move the blade now? Ove asked seriously. Leo nodded and sheathed his sword. His instincts told him the short one, Ove, was likely the brains of the pair. That was insane. I didn't even see it. Unit number 1 just got wiped out, Jack exclaimed, pale. Yes, said Ove, now intrigued by the man before them. Leo walked to a sofa in the corner and casually sat down. Bring whatever tricks you've got, he said, glancing at the 4 troop members. TCH. Fink shook his head and glanced at Maki, silently asking her something. Humph. Maki offered no answer, only a cold snort before exiting the gym. Nobunaga, still refusing to speak to Leo, silently turned and left as well. You handle him. And if that doesn't work, try seducing him. Finks blocked Shizuku, who was also about to leave, and departed first. They didn't even bother answering Leo's challenge. Now only Shizuku remained. Leo wasn't about to let her leave easily. Come here. Let's talk, Leo said coldly. You guys go ahead and talk. We're leaving. Yes. Sensing the rising tension, Jack and Ove made their exit. Me again? Why? Shizuku sighed. Tell me, what exactly are you all trying to do? And Shizuku, do you really care that much about the troop? Leo asked, curious. Feelings? I don't know. Shizuku shook her head. We were bound by the chain user, we're not allowed to kill you. But Maki isn't satisfied. She plans to use others. I think she's going to influence the new recruits. Ugh, women are so troublesome. Leo grimaced like he was wearing a mask of pain. So can I go now? Shizuku asked. Of course. Why would you need my permission? Shizuku, do you misunderstand me somehow? Since reuniting with the troupe, Leo sensed that she feared him, maybe that betrayal had left a mark. No, no. She shook her head quickly. The cold-blooded thief now resembled a timid lamb. Hey! If you hate me, just say it. I won't stab you in the back again, Leo grinned wickedly, clearly amused. Oh, then I really do hate you. I hate that you stabbed me in the back. If you want to kill someone again, do it to their face. Shizuku burst out. She wasn't afraid of death, it was betrayal that stung. Leo stared at her, recalling how in the original story, after Pakinota's death, the others grieved. Shizuku only asked how she died. He figured she was emotionally detached. Maybe she just didn't get it. Like a child without desires, driven only by instinct. How did you feel when the others died? Leo asked. He was curious if he could influence this blank canvas. Feel? I didn't feel anything. Shizuku shook her head. But you looked sad. She tried to remember but couldn't. You must be mistaken. I don't recall feeling different. Leo gave a helpless smile. He knew she'd likely never remember what had been buried. Poor thing, he said softly. Are you talking about me? What's pitiful about me? Shizuku, halfway out the door, paused. Since the knight's death, she'd changed in ways even she hadn't realized. The first sign was her fear of Leo. You can't cry, can't laugh, forget everything. What's not pitiful? Leo replied. Cry? Laugh? Shizuku echoed blankly. She had always acted based on orders and logic. What do those feel like? She asked. Crying means you're overwhelmed, sadness or even joy. Laughing usually means happiness, but smiles these days can mean anything, Leo explained. Shizuku shook her head. I don't understand. But I'm interested now. Then start by trying to smile. Do something you want, then lift the corners of your mouth. If it's too hard, just push your cheeks up with your fingers. You'll smile naturally with time, Leo suggested, half joking, half curious. I want to punch you. Can I? Shizuku clenched her fists. Leo. Bang. Ow. Not the face. But I wanted to hit your face. After decking him, Shizuku raised 2 fingers and manually pushed up the corners of her mouth. How's that? Feel anything? Leo asked, genuinely curious. He wanted to know what colors this girl could show. No. Want me to try again? Leo quickly shielded his head. Lightly. Bang. Shizuku had found a new obsession. She was hooked. I still want to punch you. Get out, Leo roared. Chapter 38. After sending Shizuku away, Leo didn't have long to wait. While practicing Netero arrived on the 12th underground floor with 5 oddly dressed individuals. Shizuku called Leo out of the gym. As he stepped into December's studio, he saw the companions he would be working alongside in the future. Leo, how is it? Getting used to this place? Netero asked with forced cheer. Leo rolled his eyes. Even if I wasn't, could you change it for me? Seeing the resentment in Leo's eyes, Netero dropped the small talk. These are your new teammates. Leo quickly got a sense of what December truly was, because among the new faces, he recognized Morel and Nav. This so-called December was clearly a personal guard under Netero, maybe even a suicide squad. 1-star Ocean Hunter, Morel. 1-star Hunter, Nav. 2-star Bounty Hunter, Rodman. 1-star Relic Hunter, Sots. 2-star Hunter, Hatton. Seeing this, Leo and the others introduced themselves. Why have I never heard of so many bounty hunters? Rodman's eyes gleamed with predatory interest. Leo and the others said nothing, they were just as confused. All eyes turned to Netero, silently demanding an explanation about December's true purpose. Netero smiled warmly. Their bounties have been revoked. In exchange, they must serve the association unconditionally for 10 years. They must also follow the 10 rules of hunters and obey the laws of every nation. You 5 are their monitors. If they break any rule or law, you have the authority to execute them. Why didn't we know this? Jack asked. Because you've already lost your civil rights. Without the association's protection, not one of you would still be alive. Cruel, yes, but Netero wasn't wrong. Why should a gang of killers be afforded the rights of normal citizens? Leo gave a cold smile. So this was it. The Phantom Troops brand still clung to him. He was no different from the others. You'll be assigned missions directly by me and enjoy hunter privileges, but your licenses will be anonymous. Got it? So we're Onbu now? Leo asked suddenly. Onbu? You could think of it that way. Netero nodded. Now, I'll select the strongest among you to lead. First, split into 2 groups, hunters and bounty hunters. No need to pick. Let's just go with Leo, said Ove, earning the nods of the troop. Their tone implied the hunter group wasn't even worth comparing. All the hunters turned to look at Leo, some curious, others openly hostile. They had once been predator and prey. Now they were forced to sit at the same table, and one of the mice wanted to lead. That wasn't going to sit well. Though not exactly close, the hunters were familiar with each other. Morel and Nav were longtime comrades who had worked under Netero for years. After brief discussion, they chose Hatton to face Leo. Hatton was a transmutation-type Nen user. His aura was rumored to be harder than steel. The 2 stepped onto the ring, while the others below debated who might win. Morel even started a bet with Nobunaga. Nice body, Hatton said, eyeing Leo's build. Wonder how many of my hits it can take. I've been refining my Nen lately, my Nen has improved. You should be careful, said Leo, now determined to win. If they wanted to isolate him, fine, he'd crush their resistance now. He'd already imagined a full list of punishments for later, making sure these people learned obedience. Be careful? You should be worried. Hatton launched the first strike, surprisingly basic moves. His aura output wasn't extraordinary, lower than the troop's average, but his quality was excellent. That was the gift of transmuters. As long as the body could take it, even creating a sun was possible with the right Nen. Leo didn't immediately use Sword Spirit. Instead, he responded with basic Tiantian Feigen swordsmanship. Hatton's attacks were crafty, aiming low. Probably due to his own height, but it ticked Leo off. What if it breaks? Will you pay damages? Leo's sword aura grew sharper, able to clash directly with Hatton's hardened Nen. Hatton frowned. He could tell Leo was holding back, and likely had a trump card. The energy spear in Hatton's hand clashed with Dragon Sun. Sword 0. The aura clash was leaning in Leo's favor, he now aimed to end it with Sword Spirit. Hatton narrowly dodged the first energy slash. But as he relaxed for a second, the second blade flew past at blistering speed. The shriek of air splitting echoed through the gym. Then came the third, and the fourth. Thanks to N, Leo's tracking was pinpoint accurate. Hatton had no option but to rely on the sturdiness of his aura. But as the saying goes, no martial art is unbreakable, except for speed. Under the rapid barrage, Hatton's defense began to crumble. Finally, on the 17th strike, Leo halted Sword Spirit and gently laid Dragon Sun across Hatton's shoulder. You lose. I declare Leo the winner. Netero suddenly leapt into the ring, raising Leo's arm like a proud referee. Chapter 39. December was officially established. After becoming leader, Leo received an unexpected surprise. His official identity was classified under the hunter side. This helped balance team distribution: 6 bounty hunters and 6 licensed hunters. Every field team had to include 1 hunter and 1 bounty hunter, meaning the smallest operational unit would be a team of 4, especially since Jack and Ove couldn't be split up. Nobunaga still ignored him, and Maki did the same. That left Finks and Shizuku as his only potential partners. Choosing between a gruff brute and a lovely girl? Easy choice. Leo wasn't crazy. Unfortunately, Finks declined too. So what was even the point of being the leader? In the end, it was just Leo and Shizuku who left Association HQ together. Since their missions were personally assigned by Netero, they could expect more structured work, no random dark and bloody massacres. Their assignment was a ruins investigation mission, targeting a small island to the east. That was the only detail Netero gave them. The rest would have to be uncovered on their own. East? What ruins were in the east? Greed Island. Leo suddenly understood. But wasn't that game mostly filled with hunters? What exactly were they expected to investigate? Confused, Leo and Shizuku returned to Ukexin City. Attempting to breach the game externally was pointless. Razor's administrator authority would erase them instantly. So, follow the original plot route. They located the address of the wealthy man Bara, and with some effort and skill, secured their ticket into Greed Island. Inside the white entry space, Leo wasn't in the best mood. He remembered a past ruins mission and thought, why do ruins always start in white space? Welcome to Greed Island. You must be Mr. Leo, right? Let's begin the game tutorial. A white-haired girl with a mechanical helmet began her automated spiel. It mostly boiled down to how to use the spell book and the win condition, card collection. Once all 100 numbered cards were collected, the player could return to the real world with 3 of them. To be honest, Leo was a little tempted. But he knew this game was designed for Killua and the others. That meant many key cards could only be obtained through their involvement. Otherwise, it wouldn't have gone uncleared for so long. He didn't overthink it. For now, he stood in a vast, open wilderness. The wind blew, carrying the scent of wild grass. Wow! Is this really a game? Shizuku said in awe as she stepped out of the birth tower. This is reality. A real island in the east. We were teleported? Leo nodded and walked a few steps away, hoping for some early game punks to come try bullying him. No one? According to his detection, there were no players nearby. What's wrong? Shizuku asked. Nothing. Let's go to the nearest town first. When they arrived at the starter village, Antikiba, the place was desolate. Bounty boards were torn down, and the streets were empty. Leo realized that Netero might have known something went wrong here. That's probably why he sent them. At a restaurant, Leo tried asking the NPCs for information. But the responses were clearly preset, they knew nothing about recent incidents. It's really tasty, Shizuku said, wiping cream off her mouth. A bit of oil remained on her cheek. Leo glanced at her and chuckled. You've still got some on your face. Where? Here? Is it gone? She said, wiping hard. PFFT. Now there's even more. Leo smirked. She looked like a little cat. What about now? Go wash. Now. It's gone. You basically turned it into a face mask. The two laughed and continued their exploration of Greed Island. Macedora. Also deserted. Leo's smile faded into concern. The island had official administrators. Mass killings of players weren't supposed to be possible. So where was everyone? After completing some basic quests, Leo obtained the companion summoning card. Book. Let's go, Biscuit. A golden light enveloped the two, shooting them into the sky. When the light faded, Leo and Shizuku landed in a forest. Here? Leo immediately activated N. He sensed Biscuit, 50 meters to the west. Come with me. He walked toward her, expecting a cheerful reunion. Instead, he found Biscuit slumped against a tree, looking utterly drained. Biscuit-san, what happened? Leo asked urgently. She was pale, lips dry, clearly hadn't had water in days. Huh? Leo. She stirred weakly. Yes, it's me. What happened? We passed through 2 towns and didn't see a single player. My fault, Biscuit said bitterly. I was careless. I put Killua in danger. And I let Pakinoda become what she is now. What happened? Leo asked, alarmed by her deteriorated state. Killua was targeted by the bomber demon. He got a bomb implanted. He died. Pakinoda's entire body turned pitch black. I don't know how she had such terrifying power hidden within her. She started a massacre, trying to find the bomber. Biscuit wiped away tears. The situation was worse than he'd imagined. But Killua died? The child of destiny? Didn't they have Archangel's breath in this game? And what about Killua's brother? Then Leo remembered, Pakinoda didn't know those things. All she knew was that someone had killed Killua, and that person was still among the players. No. Killua wouldn't slaughter people without cause. Even if he fell into darkness, he'd follow his own code, Leo said. He remembered Kuro Pakinoda from the original timeline, cold but rational. It was the bomber's trick. Before Killua died, we kept finding decoy bombers. But after he died, Pakinoda changed. She hunted constantly, and when too many fakes appeared, she snapped. She began killing like a cat who's tasted blood, it couldn't let go of the scent. Biscuit's expression twisted with guilt. She'd been there, and yet. Leo exhaled slowly. The world was beginning to fracture. Chapter 40. Leo was nearly certain, the original plot couldn't proceed as written. One protagonist was dead, the other had gone dark. Even if Togashi were resurrected, he wouldn't be able to mend this narrative thread. Leo refocused his thoughts. Although both Killua's and Pakinoda's futures had been distorted, he still believed, revive Killua, and maybe Pakinoda could be restored too. Yet the moment he saw Killua, or rather, Pakinoda, he knew his hope was premature. Pakinoda had returned, but she instinctively claimed Killua's death spot as her home. Her current state wasn't the dark transformation from the original story, it was something worse. She had balanced between light and darkness and stopped right there. At 16 or 17, the teenager before him emitted all-consuming darkness. You know me? Leo's voice broke, utterly cold and devoid of empathy. It was clear, this girl was the result of the Dark Continent's influence. Her aura was pure black, utterly devoid of any warmth or mercy. Where did that bomb demon find Killua's biological mother, or was Pakinoda from the Dark Continent all along? Biscuit trembled beside him, she'd never seen such a presence in her 57 years. Gone, right? Leo tried to steady the darkness with recognition. Pakinoda? It's me. No, Killua, remember. Killua. Pakinoda reverted to frantic childlike cries, echoing just one name. We can save him, Leo declared resolutely. Save him? The black-hazed teenager choked, repeating, save him. Save him. Despair washed over Leo. Killua might be salvageable, but Pakinoda? She might truly be beyond help. Well, we'll save him. We can save Killua, Leo decided, prioritizing one step at a time. Biscuit, where's Killua's body? Leo demanded. Biscuit forced a bitter laugh. It's gone. Leo stiffened, this was far worse than reviving Pakinoda. Without a body, resurrection was impossible. His expression hardened. There was no time for despair, he had to go to the Zoldyck estate immediately. En route. Who is that child? Shizuku whispered, fear in her voice. Leo suppressed a sigh. He was relieved that her emotions had grown, but he would prefer less drama on Greed Island. 2 days later. Leo, pulling every resource he had, finally reached Mount Kukuru, home of the Zoldycks. At the gate of trial, he smashed open every door to get noticed. It didn't take long before Illumi appeared. His face went pale at seeing Leo, the man who dismantled the Phantom Troop and shattered his sidelined life. Can I help you? Illumi asked coldly. Leo didn't speak, only Sword Zero's aura flared around him, making Illumi and Shizuku recoil. Before your brother died, he asked me to come here, Aluka could save him. Boom. Dark aura pulsed from Illumi, but compared to Pakinota's shadow, it was but a flicker of moonlight in a raging sea. What did you say? Leo exhaled. I don't have time for games. Killua died with no trace left. But before he died, he believed that Aluka could save him. Who said that? Illumi's words came through clenched teeth. The bomb demon Ganshu, he's on Greed Island. His Nen lets him plant bombs on contact. I understand. Sanmo will take him to father. The Zoldyck beast Sanmo, lounging at the door, perked up and headed towards the depths of the mountain. Without another word, Illumi stalked away, but Leo knew the bomb demon wouldn't live long. Guided by Sanmo, Leo and Shizuku entered the inner Zoldyck residence, servants staring in shock. They were met by the butler Shizutong, who, after hearing their story, hurried them to find Silva. Boom. Leo braced himself once more against the oppressive aura of the Zoldycks. Indeed, no one in that family was anything less than a killer. Did Killua really say that? Silva's voice trembled. Yes. I've researched darkness. I believe Aluka is host to something, likely from your family. Do you have any leads? Leo proposed, reflecting on possible origins from the Dark Continent. Silva's eyes flickered, but now was not the time to probe. Time was short, and Killua's body was missing. You may not realize the cost of a wish to Aluka, Silva warned, leading them into the sealed Aluka chamber. Are you asking me to wish for Killua? Leo asked. Silva replied tonelessly, I will. Leo grinned. Maybe no wish is needed. Silva looked at him, uncertain. He'd heard this kind of hope from Killua before. When the mechanical door opened, Aluka, in a child's body, was playing with blocks. A soft, innocent accent escaped as she called, Daddy. Hug me. Leo felt his scalp prickle. This youthful abandon in front of her father. He interrupted Silva, stepping forward. Aluka, right. Your brother Killua is dead. Gone. With that, Leo swiftly exited, leaving Silva frozen in shock. Why didn't you tell me? He demanded. Do you need me to define who your daughter is? Choose carefully, Leo replied gently, softening the tension. Silva hesitated, then Aluka swung onto Leo's back, crying, Take me. Let's go find Killua. Leo forced a smile. Your brother is down there, how do I even begin to look? Okay. We'll find Killua, he said, glancing at Silva. Seeing his nod, Leo lifted Aluka onto his back and walked out. Chapter 41. Reiji was carrying Aluka and Shizuku on his back, with Silva and Zeno sitting behind him. The group rode the Golden Dragon and flew directly to Greed Island. As for the issue of Razor's authority, Jing's son was almost turned into a demon, and Leo didn't believe that he could stop it. The flying dragon was very fast, allowing Leo to experience the thrill of being a dragon rider. Passing through a colorful rainbow and across the endless ocean, Leo finally saw Greed Island in reality. However, when the dragon landed, an uninvited guest appeared. It was Razor. TSK, you're all strong ones. Why do you come here? Razor's tone was weak, but he clearly knew how to handle the situation. Jing's son is going crazy, and you game administrators didn't know. Leo snapped back. Hurry. Find Killua. Aluka would urge Reiji every time he stopped. They clearly were impatient. But Leo probably understood their method. If he doesn't let us into the island, we'll never find Killua. Wait for a minute. If that doesn't work, you take him down. If you know what's good for you, get out of the way. We don't have time to waste. First, tell me what happened to Jing's son. Bang. Silva and Zeno each punched Razor aside. Hey, don't you know we're in a hurry, young man? Zeno sighed. After Razor was knocked away, the group forced their way into Greed Island in grand fashion. Book. Let's go, Biscuit. A golden light flashed, and everyone arrived at the forest they had visited before. Leo sensed and found Biscuit, seriously injured and unconscious. Biscuit. It's her. Zeno recognized her, they'd known each other since childhood. Something's happened again. It seems Killua's evil transformation has deepened. Damn it. What kind of vow did he make? Leo punched angrily. The big tree in front of him couldn't withstand the blast, it collapsed with a bang. Calm down. The issue is what remains inside Killua. You said that Aluka must touch his body to heal him. Silva remained composed. Leo rolled his eyes at Silva and ignored him. If Killua continued drifting deeper into darkness, Leo didn't know whether he would burn out like in the original story or suffer another abnormal change, but the result would be disastrous either way. How is he? Zeno asked. Nothing was found, Silva replied. Father and son exchanged whispers when Leo wasn't paying attention, they had their own thoughts. Quick! Find Killua. With a death warrant on his back, Leo had no choice but to wake Biscuit by force. Bang! With a slap to the face and a pinch of the philtrum, Biscuit's lolly appearance turned into a stubbornly pig-like grimace. But there was a result. Biscuit snorted. Leo quickly shook her body, and finally, under his skillful hands and kind heart, Biscuit opened her eyes. Reiji? Good. I found a way to save Killua. Now tell me where he died, I need his tissue or blood, Leo said urgently. Biscuit stood up, pointed to a large tree to the north, and said, by that tree. Watching Biscuit pass out again, Leo murmured, thank you for your hard work. He carried Aluka on his back and walked to the indicated tree. Sure enough, he found scorch marks, this had to be the spot. Killua is here, it's up to you now. Aluka jumped off Leo's back, lay on the ground, and sniffed carefully like a police dog. Killua smells like this. Leo was shocked, everything was reduced to ashes, but Aluka could still smell him. Aluka placed his hand on a crimson branch. A massive rush of aura surged into the sky, blowing away Leo, Silva, and the others nearby. At that moment, all Nen masters on Greed Island sensed the soaring aura and panicked. What a massive amount of Nen power! Leo and the others watched in shock as a human figure gradually emerged in midair. If their eyes weren't deceiving them, it was Killua. The mental energy fluctuations lasted a while and then faded, and Killua's body formed out of thin air. Just when everyone thought it was over, Aluka released aura again. The difference this time was that this energy seemed to be searching for something, drifting restlessly. Half an hour later, everything calmed. Reiji heard Killua's voice again. I should have been blown to pieces, right? How could this happen? Aluka? He said in shock. Looking at Killua, who was bewildered, Leo stepped forward and supported his naked body. Killua. Have you forgotten? Before you died you asked me to find Aluka to save you. Though he just awakened with many questions, Killua quickly understood Reiji's meaning. Yes. It's him. He blinked at Leo meaningfully. Leo breathed a sigh of relief, there were many things left unexplained. Oh, right. Killua. Something's happened to Killua. He made a vow himself and is completely engulfed in darkness. Killua was so shocked he ignored Aluka, who stared worriedly, and rushed to Pakanota. Killua. Calm down, Silva said sternly, helping Killua take in the surroundings. Dad? Grandpa? You're all here. Humph. You little troublemaker. You'd better thank Leo later. After a cold snort, Zeno turned and walked away. Let's go back to Aluka, Silva told Aluka. Wait. Dad. I have something to tell Aluka. Killua quickly pulled Aluka aside and whispered. Thank you very much this time, Silva said to Leo. It's nothing, but you once said if I wanted to go to the Dark Continent, I should bring money to Kukulu Mountain. Now you don't need money, right? No. Let's be fair, the Zoldyck family will give you a proper reward. Seeing he couldn't outwit him, Leo guessed that the amount must be astronomical. After all, Zoldyck never did business at a loss. Meanwhile, Killua and Aluka had nearly finished their conversation. Killua held Aluka's hand and returned him to his father. Dad, next time I'll bring Aluka with me. Then it depends on your ability, Silva said as he led Aluka away. Uncle. Aren't you from the brigade? Didn't Kurlo tell you? I'm undercover. Killua nodded, he shouldn't con himself. After all, that could be easily confirmed by a phone call. So. What's going on now, Gon? Leo grimaced at the mention of Gon. He said, Gon has been losing his mind for several days. His aura is overwhelmed by darkness. Chapter 42. When Killua heard this, he immediately shrank back like an eggplant hit by frost, completely forgetting he was still naked. Leo took off his blue suit and gave it to Killua to help cover his lower body. After taking the suit, Killua finally reacted. His face turned red, and he occasionally glanced at Shizuku, clearly embarrassed. You're welcome. When you take charge of the Zoldyck family in the future, just give me more discounts. Leo was planting a seed for future leverage. Killua agreed without hesitation. He had no intention of ever becoming the head of the Zoldyck family, so agreeing cost him nothing, a blank check. Killua thought he'd gotten the upper hand, but he didn't notice the occasional flash of light on Illumi's body. A photo of Killua in the nude would sell for a good price. Leo snickered secretly as he ran after the naked Killua ahead of him. Where exactly is Gon? Leo thought for a moment. Can you still use book? No, the ring was blown to pieces. Then you need to see if you can bring Pakanota's name to the forefront of the industry. After fiddling with it for a while, they finally found Killua's name in Leo's book. After all, they'd seen it before. Let's go, Gon freaks. Let's rewind time slightly, to the back of Greed Island, in the town of Earl. Illumi was chopping Genthru into meat paste bit by bit. Moreover, Illumi began from the feet. He used a needle to pick up the sliced flesh and grilled it over charcoal, then forced Genthru to eat it. I beg you. Kill me. Genthru's snot and tears mixed, soaking his entire face. I grilled it for you out of kindness. Not only do you not thank me, but now you want me to kill you? Do you have money? Illumi continued to stuff the grilled meat into Genthru's mouth with a cold smile. Yes. Yes. The cards are in my jacket pocket. You can have them all. Genthru felt pardoned. Just when he thought it would end, Illumi fed him 2 more bites. Relax, I'll give you a needle that'll make you want to live, you won't want to die anymore. How's that? Worth the price, right? With that, Illumi inserted a needle into Genthru's skull. Eat slowly. There's still plenty left. Just as Illumi was watching Genthru, a demonic voice echoed. General, through. I found. You. The voice was like an evil god's whisper, confusing and disorienting. Illumi was affected, too, but quickly responded and inserted needles into his ears to block his auditory nerves. He followed the sound and saw Killua, but something was different. He had grown taller, appearing to be in his 20s. Pakanoda? Illumi was confused. He knew all of his younger brother's acquaintances, and Killua was no exception. He'd been the focus of his surveillance. But this person, aside from the same clothing and a vague resemblance, bore no trace of Killua. Gone. I'm gone. Illumi read Killua's lips and roughly understood him. He confirmed, yes, you're gone, freaks, a friend of my brother Killua. Killua? Killua. Killua. Illumi looked at Genthru, who had gone mad. If not for his quick thinking, he would have suffered the same fate. It was a relief. But how did Gon become like this? What kind of power was this? It was terrifying, like a dark demon walking the earth. Seeing that Genthru was beyond saving, Illumi decided to flee. Not from cowardice, but because it simply wasn't worth it. Book. Teleport, port. Illumi vanished, leaving the mumbling Killua to notice Genthru. With a last trace of rationality, Killua punched Genthru into powder. I'm back. Again. Killua's body slowly collapsed, and just as he was about to completely wither, a black egg leapt onto his body, feeding him endless vitality. At this moment, Razor and Shizuku, who had arrived with them, happened to appear. They watched as Killua shriveled into a husk, then returned to his original state. Leo noticed the black egg as soon as it appeared. The stripes on it looked similar to his own. Everyone was stunned but didn't dare move, including Leo. Though they didn't know what the black egg truly was, it was definitely healing Killua. What Leo and the others didn't know was that the name Greed Island wasn't given by Jing, but was the original name of this ancient relic. Greed represents one of the 7 deadly sins, and the abnormalities in Killua stem from the core of Greed Island, the heart of greed. After multiple resurrections, Killua's body retained the appearance of a man in his 20s. But the black egg vanished without a trace. Pakanoda. Killua screamed in anguish and ran forward, but Illumi stopped him. Look again. Something's wrong. Sure enough, Leo was right. The black aura around Killua grew denser, eventually becoming tangible. A pair of black wings emerged from Killua's back. Ha 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 ha. I'm back. I'm back again, Killua laughed maniacally. His laughter sent chills down Leo, Illumi, and Shizuku. If nothing changed, this might not be Killua anymore. People? Eat something. Killua looked hungry, his eyes filled with greed as he stared at Leo. Gone, are you joking? Leo smiled nervously, though the sweat on his palms gave away his fear. Pakanoda? Is that this body's name? Then yes, it's mine. Killua flapped his black wings and slowly rose into the air. Human, since you told me his name, I'll spare your life today. If you want to save him, come find me in the center of darkness. The massive black aura surged like storm clouds, disappearing into the sky. Killua hadn't spoken the entire time, but his palm was pierced by his own nails, blood dripping between his fingers. Leo-san. Where is the darkness? Leo gave a bitter smile, patted Killua's head gently, and said, when you're stronger than your grandfather, you'll be qualified to know. Let's go. Book. Nothing happened. Leo realized the relic's power must have vanished. So Leo and the others chopped down several large trees nearby and left Greed Island on a raft. Chapter 43. Leo was convinced that with Killua, he could be taken care of by the protagonist's halo. They were suddenly hit by a storm. With a gust of howling wind, the sky darkened rapidly as thick clouds rolled in, turning day into night in an instant. A bright lightning streaked across the sky, thunder roared through the world, and heavy rain began to pour. The sea responded with enthusiasm, waves rolled and stretched endlessly. Just when Leo and his team were at a loss, a huge ship plowed through the turbulent waves. Leo and the others were pulled aboard by kind sailors. They wore neat uniforms, not like merchants or fishermen. If Leo guessed right, this was probably an expedition team directly under a kingdom's authority. The huge flag looked familiar to him. Castaways? The first mate was a middle-aged man in brocade clothes. His beer belly and greasy face betrayed a dissolute life. Yes, we are relic hunters from the association. We were shipwrecked and stranded on an isolated island. We planned to sail out on a raft but were caught in a storm. Leo's lie was mostly true, 9 parts truth, 1 part fabrication, and his eloquence made it hard to tell. That's truly unfortunate. The first mate motioned for them to follow and led them toward the cabin. Inside the cabin, a young man in a suit and tie, with rough features but a refined air, flipped through an old leather-bound book. Your Highness, these are hunters from the association. They were shipwrecked and rescued by our sailors, the first mate bowed respectfully. Oh? Hunters? I didn't expect a trial voyage to yield such rewards. Tell me, what is your real purpose? His voice was calm and confident. Leo instantly recognized intelligence, a sharp mind. His usual tactic of mixing truth and lies wouldn't work here, he needed mostly truth. Your Highness? My name is Leo. I'm under the direct command of the association president, Beyond Netero. Our main mission is to explore ruins. Netero? Ruins? Interesting. You're outsiders, so you don't have to call me Your Highness. My real name is Prince Halkenberg of the Kaken Empire. I'm the 9th prince. A flicker of curiosity lit Prince Halkenberg's wise eyes. Hal? Brugger twice-cooked pork? Illumi asked confusedly, noticing the first mate's murderous glare. The 9th prince smiled helplessly. If you can't remember, just call me Harkin. Halkin. Hello, hello. Leo walked up and shook hands, looking quite familiar. Seeing the first mate hesitate, Harkin said, You go ahead. After the first mate left, Harkin turned to Leo again. Does the Kaken Empire know of you? I've heard some rumors. Harkin nodded. Good. You're hunters, so you must be interested in the unknown. Are you interested in the Dark Continent? Dark Continent? Killua exclaimed, then quickly shrank behind Illumi to lower his presence. Harkin thought for a moment that Killua had vanished, and he smiled even wider. Not bad. Really good. He said this to Leo, sensing a sharp edge surrounding his body. Since you know of the Kaken Empire, do you understand the election? Upon hearing this, Leo and the others shook their heads. Harkin continued, It's to explore the Dark Continent. This trial voyage prepares for the election. What did His Highness Harkin say? Leo asked. I wish you could be my feather. Feather? Harkin stood from the sofa, the light dimmed suddenly. In the interplay of light and shadow, Leo saw a strange creature appear behind Harkin. This feather can be shared with followers, companions, and partners. As long as our wills unite, I can unleash its full power. Your Highness, do you intend to give us this feather seal? Harkin nodded. I see you are strong and principled. I like people like that. Thank you for your kindness, but... Just as Leo was about to refuse, Killua interrupted, I want it. Even though I'm still a child, I'm growing fast. And my last name is Zoldyck. Killua knew Illumi was the main focus of the 9th prince, but this was a ticket to darkness. Thinking of Pakinoda, he couldn't give up. Zoldyck? A flicker of disgust flashed in Harkin's eyes, but he masked it well. Leo and the others did not notice. Zoldyck is that killer family, right? Yes, but I only inherited their talent and education. I'm not interested in killing. Harkin smiled. He saw a reflection of his own struggle in Killua, someone fighting their predetermined fate. Why do you want to go to the Dark Continent? My friend has been possessed by an unknown entity from there. I must save him. Okay. Give me your hand. Leo felt like a background actor in the cabin. It wasn't that he didn't want to go to the Dark Continent, but he felt the time wasn't right. What about you? After placing a feather seal on Killua, Harkin looked at Illumi. This man was powerful with no evil aura. Harkin liked him. After some thought, Leo finally rejected Harkin because the time was truly premature. However, he promised Harkin that if he ever wanted to leave, his ship would be the first choice. He knew well that in Kakin's pot of porridge, the 9th prince was the rice, and the rest mere seasoning. After the storm, Harkin dropped Illumi off at a nearby port and continued the sea trial with Killua. Why not go? Shizuku, who had been silent all along, finally spoke. Leo said helplessly, "Do you know what the Dark Continent is? It's a place where someone as powerful as me could be killed instantly by a small monster." Really? I really want to see it. Upon hearing this, Leo felt a headache coming on. He slapped Shizuku on the head hard and walked away, ignoring the girl's resentful glare. Short break. I do not have a fact for you this time. So, stare at a wall for 5 seconds. And let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now back into the fanfic. Chapter 44. Leo and Shizuku returned to the Hunter Association on the airship. As soon as they arrived, Illumi reported to Netero the dramatic changes on Greed Island, including his speculation about the black egg. The core of the ruins? Does that mean every ruin has an egg? Netero frowned. This was no simple matter. Over the years, the Hunter Association had discovered hundreds of ruins, not to mention countless others still hidden. What's the reason? Netero made 2 cups of tea and handed one to Leo. After sipping, Leo said, "Because I also have an egg, which I found in a secret realm. That egg devours souls, so I've always sealed it." Soul Eater? That really doesn't seem like something of this world. And since Gon is actually possessed, I'm afraid Jing won't stay calm either. Netero seemed older and kept sighing. Seeing this, Leo didn't press him further. In truth, he was also deeply shaken. His own lack of strength made him timid, something he despised. When they took the elevator back to the 12th basement floor, Shizuku had already returned to her room. Only 12 empty desks remained in the office, filled with restless people. Leo walked into the gym inside and began practicing his Nen ability. His thoughts were unique, combining aspects of the emission and transformation categories, possibly with some enhancement as well, making his training complicated. First, his sword energy was a telekinetic emission ability. But its properties could change at will, transformation. As his will grew stronger, the sword energy itself grew stronger, enhancement. Since he was primarily an emission-type user, it was easier to train enhancement, but transformation was complicated by the distance factor. His current focus was on strengthening the emission side, setting transformation aside since doing too much for little gain was pointless. Leo practiced silently, unaware that outside, the association was in upheaval. President Netero had actually initiated a vote to go to the Dark Continent. Yen yen. Fastest update. He was one of those opposing the blockade, but now the V5 Council had sent envoys to negotiate with Netero. Are you getting old and confused? Netero faced the arrogant envoy and gradually grinned. Hee, better be prepared for danger in times of peace. This is the December action log, take it and show it to them. Netero casually tossed a handwritten notebook. After the envoy left, Netero relaxed in his chair. He was indeed growing old and forgetful but had to endure it. After discovering that ruins or secret realms might relate to the Dark Continent, he was completely conflicted. Should they maintain the blockade? What if what lies inside refuses to return? The human world wouldn't be enough for them to wreak havoc. After returning to the association, Biscuit suffered severe psychological trauma and remained under treatment with little progress. The Dark Continent held horrors even senior hunters couldn't withstand. This was Netero's reality. His power no longer protected the world. At this point, opening the passage might be necessary to start a new era. Though the Dark Continent was dangerous, it offered opportunities. Among countless hunters, some would surely rise to the top. After contemplation, Netero became resolute to open the passage. Thus, an event comparable to the presidential election was held at Association HQ. The vote wasn't about opening the channel, but about who would go to the Dark Continent. The association revealed some Dark Continent info, details on special creatures like the Chimera ants. The vote, involving all hunters, lasted nearly 2 months before interest waned. Finally, Netero personally finalized the pioneer list, top hunters selected. The leader was none other than Jing Freaks, one of the 12 branches and among the world's top 5 Nen users. After learning of Greed Island's fall and Killua's condition, Jing gave up his ruin expedition, returned to the association, and invested 200 billion yen to sponsor the operation. Jing's reputation soared. Rich men are always bosses. Hunter Association, 12th basement floor. Nobunaga argued with a man wearing a headband. While Finks looked ready to fight, other hunters watched coldly. 2 brothers, one tall, one short, cheered for Nobunaga without concern. I don't want to waste time talking. Where's your leader? Dead. You really looking for trouble? Yes. Wanna try? Jing sighed. This was his 30th visit, almost daily, but he still hadn't found the person who haunted his thoughts. He asked Netero, who confirmed Illumi wasn't on a mission, but he still couldn't find him. His reputation was terrible, especially with 2 office hunters, Rodman and Hatton. Throughout December, only Silva was approachable, but he was away on a mission. Want money? Jing, desperate, resorted to bribery. Tsk. You look poor, how much do you have? Nobunaga sneered. I donated 200 billion yen before, Jing said disdainfully, as if the amount was trivial. How much? Only 200 billion. So? Can you tell me where Leo is? Jing didn't really have much money left. After deciding to go to the Dark Continent, he spent nearly everything buying influence, to find Killua. I'll tell you. He's practicing kendo behind the gym. Move the sofa inside, and you'll see a tunnel. Walk through it. Finks eagerly took the chance to earn money. Really? Thanks. Here's a tip. Jing threw a $1 coin. You're looking for death. Finks' fists shimmered with concentrated nen. He might fight if refused. Stop. Seeing this, Rodman stepped forward to hold Finks back and whispered, that guy might be stronger than Netero. Finks silently dispersed his telepathy, pocketed the coin, and said, I got your thanks. Thanks. Jing waved and went inside. Finks looked embarrassed. How does he have no strongman aura at all? Rodman laughed, he's always been like that. Deep inside the gym, Leo sat cross-legged in the pitch-black cave he'd mined. The gym was large but not big enough for his new moves. After nearly 2 months, Leo had mastered mind skills and made breakthroughs in swordsmanship. Sword 1. A surge of sword energy burst from the dragon sun in Leo's hand. Unlike his previous sword energy, this one was condensed and continuous, like a 40-meter-long blade. As Leo swung, the void's range expanded. Pa, pa, pa. Applause interrupted him. He put away the dragon sun and looked toward the tunnel entrance lit faintly. Who's there? Jing. Leo recognized Jing in the dim light but didn't say so. Jing was skilled at concealment, few photos or info existed. Oh? You're Gon's father? Yes. I want to ask about what happened that day. Jing's expression was complicated. He never expected the game he designed for his son to cause harm. Leo explained the events. I see. It's probably an A rank or higher entity. Your guess about greed and the 7 deadly sins may be right. That's less important now. The key is, does Killua still exist? Leo asked with a heavy heart, posing the question Jing dreaded most. He exists. He's my son. He must exist. Jing affirmed strongly. Chapter 45. After talking with Jing for a few words, Leo left the cave. After nearly 2 months of seclusion and practice, he felt a bit restless and urgently needed to go out for a ride. After consulting Netero about the commission related to the NGL Autonomous Region, Leo set out again with Shizuku. Anyway, these guys didn't like to travel with him, so he wouldn't bother trying to please them and make himself bored. Leo did not tell anyone, including Shizuku, about the inside story of the NGL Autonomous Region. President Netero had shown his age over the past 2 months. He personally handled everything related to exploring the Dark Continent. Leo couldn't bear to continue wearing down Netero's weary heart, though he might have been very interested in the Chimera ants. A carriage? Arriving in the NGL Autonomous Region, Shizuku was stunned to see the new transportation. Yes, this country prohibits modern technology, Leo explained. With some confusion, Shizuku and Leo boarded the carriage, driving toward the autonomous region. Arriving at a nearby village, Leo found an organization similar to a village committee, the security team. He asked the man in charge about missing persons and monster sightings. Since there were no phones here, long-distance communication depended entirely on letters, and information was isolated, so disappearances were common. Leo reviewed recent nearby events, then he and Shizuku walked toward the home of one missing person. It was the first sunny day after rain, so the road was bumpy and muddy, dirtying their shoes. Puffy-eyed fish, there's work. Shizuku couldn't stand it any longer. As a delicate beauty, she loved cleanliness. Leo stretched out his foot. Since the mud didn't eat living things, he wasn't afraid. Whether it was Shizuku's revenge or the mud's grip, Leo's hiking shoes got stuck. Leo. Sorry. Shizuku stuck out her tongue, trying to excuse herself. A hint of surprise flashed on Leo's face. He hadn't noticed that Shizuku's expression was recovering. Forget it. I'll just consider it mind ability practice. Leo wrapped his feet in aura, then used hardness to reinforce his mind's defense, greatly strengthening his shoes. Then Leo used his sword energy's sharpness, sliding on the muddy ground as if skating. Shizuku looked astonished. You broke the rules. Leo quickly shook off Shizuku, and his figure disappeared. Leo wasn't worried Shizuku would run off. Unlike others, she was very disciplined. After joining an organization, she followed orders and rules, including the current December ban. Leo recalled a conversation 2 months ago on Greed Island. He asked Shizuku why she joined. She'd shaken her head, saying there was no reason. The group leader found her. Still, Leo sighed, she was a simple person. Back to the present, the village gradually appeared in Leo's view. He slowed, waiting for the figure behind. After a few seconds, the two who had been far apart entered the remote village side by side. Why investigate missing persons? Shizuku asked, seeming doubtful of the mission. Leo pondered. Remember the Dark Continent? The missing may be linked to dark forces. He told Shizuku the truth. She was open-minded and took it well. Dark Continent? Where is it? Have we been there? Okay. Leo sighed helplessly. He'd need to teach her some things soon. It's a place stronger than our world. The ants there might devour ours. Really? That's scary, Shizuku said, then stepped over an ant nest on the roadside. Leo twitched his eyelids, thinking, Amatapa, this rain has nothing to do with me. Relaxed, they walked to the first missing person's home. Hello? Anyone there? Leo knocked twice on the door railing. In such a paradise-like place, few bothered to repair doors. A haggard peasant woman appeared. Leo had long forgotten the victim's family in the original novel, so he pieced together the truth from clues. "Who are you?" The woman's hoarse voice betrayed tears. Her red, swollen eyes were no joke. "We're hunters. You can think of us as security guards, but more experienced." "Security guards?" Shizuku asked curiously. Leo smacked his head and said irritably, "I said that to make it easier to understand, okay?" Shizuku nodded, tears in her eyes, looking dumbfounded. "Haha, I understand hunters," the woman chuckled, amused by their interaction despite her grief. "I'm glad. Can you tell me how she disappeared?" Leo sighed, hoping to avoid a closed-minded person. "Well, that day I went to the fields as usual. When I came back, my daughter was gone. There were huge animal footprints in the yard." The woman sobbed again thinking of her daughter. Leo didn't know how to comfort her. Huge animal footprints? Probably ant tracks. It seemed a first-rank royal guard had been born. He recalled that the first royal guard courtepy in the original was a birdman. Leo's expression hardened. He probably didn't have time to think deeply now. If Neferpito had been born, it was a dire situation. Leo was strong but still human. But a newborn Neferpito was at the pinnacle of human potential. Mocking Netero's century of training, Neferpito's mental power at birth far exceeded Netero's current, so much so that Killua and Kite once thought he was weaker than Netero. But battles aren't decided by mental power alone. Leo understood that consciousness, experience, and skill influence outcomes. Of course, sometimes one person's strength can defeat 10 skilled fighters, as in Netero's battle with the Ant King. Illumi didn't think Neferpito was stronger than Netero. Though very tanky, fast, and strong, a one-on-one fight would favor Netero. What about Leo? 37? 46? Not impossible, but Leo was referring to an untrained Neferpito. After all, Kite had beaten him twice at that time. Neferpito, having learned Kuroko Mai's mental techniques, was like Leo mastering Sword Zero, defeating the strong with the weak. Offending him wasn't an option. Chapter 46. Leo took his cell phone out of Shizuku's bulging-eyed fish. The laws of the NGL Autonomous Region were harsh, no mechanical products were allowed. "Shizuku, I've wanted to ask this for a long time, why is the stuff taken out of the vacuum cleaner covered in mucus? It also smells weird." Leo shook the phone a few times and wiped off the sticky liquid. "Dummy, after going through the stomach of the bulging-eyed fish, there must be saliva or gastric juice or something," Shizuku said coldly. Looking at Shizuku's indifferent face, Leo teased, "Hey, I thought it was your body fluid." Shizuku frowned calmly. "Impossible. The shadow beast is the shadow beast, and I am me." Suddenly, noise came from the forest ahead. Leo had to stop joking and open his aura circle to investigate. Dung beetle? A giant dung beetle. Seeing this, Leo looked delighted. It looked like a chimera soldier ant. "Kill it?" Shizuku also noticed this strange creature. She signaled Leo with her eyes but saw him shaking his head. Leo didn't plan to kill it, instead, he wanted to follow the clues and find the source of the problem. The two sealed their breath with Nen and quietly followed the dung beetle. Not far away, a man was also observing the giant dung beetle. He was tall and slender, with long white hair, a pointed chin, and a blue cap. He wore a white long-sleeved shirt and black trousers. This was the one-star giant creature hunter, Kite. Since both sides used tactics to avoid detection, they didn't meet after nearly an hour of tracking. It was noon, and the blazing sun hung high. Golden sunlight pierced the jungle like flaming arrows. The dung beetle had completed its hunt and looked like a porcupine, though the color differed enough to obscure the exact species from Leo. The dung beetle soldier ants rolled the porcupine on the ground until it turned into a ball of mud, then left the forest. Leo followed to a tree at the forest's edge. Ahead was an open field, without obstacles. The chimera ant would easily detect them. Its vision couldn't be blocked. Just as Leo hesitated, Kite jumped out from the tree, holding a huge sickle, apparently ready to kill the dung beetle. Leo quickly swung his knife and pulled Kite back into the forest before the dung beetle noticed. "Who are you?" Kite asked vigilantly. Before Leo pulled him back, he had sensed an extremely sharp aura but didn't understand what was happening. "I'm a hunter from the association, newly established in December. I want to find the lair of that creature, so please don't kill it." Leo then turned to the dung beetle, noticing it was moving farther away, and signaled Shizuku to follow. Kite didn't see Leo's hunter license and had no license himself, so he said nothing. But Leo's goal was reasonable. If they knew the nest of this dangerous creature, they could capture it all at once. Kite saw Leo walking away and followed, crawling some distance behind the dung beetle. "Hello, my name is Kite," he said carefully, approaching Leo. "Humph," Leo snorted coldly. It wasn't deliberate aloofness, but his focus was entirely on the dung beetle. "I heard the association made some big moves recently. Has anyone seen Jing?" Kite asked bluntly. He was far enough from the dung beetle. Leo didn't answer, eyes fixed ahead. But Shizuku couldn't help but speak. "You mean that annoying slob?" Leo was surprised Shizuku remembered Jing. Even Jing's own son barely did. "Annoying? Sloppy?" Kite recalled Jing's tall figure and found that completely inconsistent. But given the man's personality, maybe a bit sloppy. She hurriedly asked, "Do you know him?" "I don't, but Leo does. To meet Leo, Jing stayed in our office for a month." Shizuku clearly remembered. "Leo? That's you, right? What's your relationship with Jing?" Kite looked at Leo. "It doesn't matter. His son was possessed by something from the Dark Continent and has likely returned there. Jing came asking for details," Leo said without looking. "Gone? How could that happen?" Kite's face darkened. She knew about the Dark Continent. If Gon was possessed there, his life was basically over. "Bad luck," Leo said casually. "These chaotic things didn't happen in the original story, it could only be fate's mystery." Hee, Kite smiled bitterly. She hadn't expected that child to. "Oh no." Leo's face darkened even more than Kite's. The dung beetle had returned to its nest, surrounded by a huge circle. Seeing the circle, Kite's eyes flashed with fighting spirit, but it quickly changed to shock. The circle's radius was enormous. "What is that?" Shizuku asked, subconsciously wanting to see it as anything but a circle, to save her worldview. "A circle nearly 2,000 meters in radius." Leo's words shattered her illusions. She had to admit she was scared. Even without touching Neferpito's circle, she could tell the difference. "What should we do? Retreat?" Kite hesitated. If it were her alone, she'd leave immediately. But here she was with Shizuku, who was powerful, and Leo, whose strength matched hers. After a moment, Leo said decisively, "Go." He didn't want to miss this chance. Since Neferpito was still in the old nest, it meant the king wasn't born yet. They had a shot. Shizuku stayed put, not out of fear, but because she felt her presence wouldn't affect the upcoming battle. "Ta-da!" Leo looked curiously at the crazy clown spinning the number wheel, which stopped at 7. The crazy clown transformed into a longbow with antique patterns. "You're lucky. Don't worry. My bow and arrow have automatic tracking, they won't miss." Leo chuckled but felt uneasy for some reason. Chapter 47. Leo stepped carefully into Neferpito's circle. At the same time, Neferpito, on guard at the nest's top, showed a flicker of excitement. He sensed Leo. He squatted, thighs swelling from the accumulated power. Boom! The sound of breaking air slowly grew as Neferpitou almost leapt toward Leo. Leo's expression tensed. It turned out this creature's explosive power was indeed strong. But Leo wasn't an amateur. When the dragon sun came from its sheath, it radiated a neon glow that covered much of the sky. Sword 0. He always had one ace up his sleeve. Before time could even pass, a sword energy field descended around Neferpitou. With months of practice and Yuan's help, Leo's sword technique neared perfection. The world within 50 meters belonged to Leo. His body turned into sword light, moving fluidly through his blade. Interesting. Interesting, Neferpitou shouted joyfully, showing no nervousness. As Leo continued, his face paled slightly. The cat had withstood 9 sword energy strikes, but only minor skin damage? Leo's ruthlessness grew, his will hardening. Break. He needed to split everything in two. Finally, on the 30th cut, a wound appeared on Neferpitou's shoulder, green blood gushing out. Neferpitou's expression grew serious. Using explosive speed, he darted within Leo's sword field, trying to fight fast against fast. All this happened within 0.5 seconds. Kite hadn't even realized the fight had begun. Only when green blood floated and a shockwave appeared did Kite realize the battle was on. His years as a hunter forced him into combat mode. He bent his longbow, a telekinetic arrow appeared. No need to aim, he locked onto Neferpitou mentally. The arrow flew in a golden rainbow arc. Neferpitou had sharp perception, sensing danger as Kite drew her bow. Even fighting Leo, he guarded against Kite's arrow. His thought, avoid anything straight. But Kite's light arrow caught Neferpitou as he dodged. Meow? He never expected the arrow to curve, it defied what he'd learned from the queen ant egg. I was careless, Leo whispered in Neferpitou's ear. Using Neferpitou's surprise, Leo pulled out his 73rd sword. The bright silver blade engulfed Neferpitou's body. Kite's arrow pierced alongside, hitting their target, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Leo looked at the bloody hole near Neferpitou's lower abdomen and slowly typed a question mark. What happened? Didn't he just whisper something? Why was Neferpitou hit too? Actually, it wasn't Kite's fault. This was a flaw of Sword 0. As Leo's slash speed increased, his sword light almost moved as fast as him. It was reasonable for Kite's arrow to pierce Neferpitou. What a coincidence. Leo quickly retreated from Neferpitou. He didn't know how much damage the arrow caused, but it was serious. Judging by the spot, it was near the kidney. Now he could only pray the kidney wasn't hit, otherwise, he'd be responsible for turning Kite, male, into Kite, female. Feel sorry. The insincere voice made Leo jump. It seemed Kite had enough. However, Leo understood priorities. The issue wasn't how to handle Kite, but how badly injured Neferpitou was caught in the sword rainbow. A breeze blew as if from the sky, carrying cold moonlight and Milky Way moisture, dissipating the sword energy to reveal the scarred Neferpitou. It's not fun anymore. You rely on telepathy to bully others. Most of Neferpitou's flesh was sliced by Leo's sword, and a bloody hole marred his chest. He looked miserable. Still, Leo frowned. His perception told him the evil vitality inside grew stronger. What terrifying life force! No wonder Killua had punched so many times. Leo now understood he'd greatly underestimated not just Neferpitou, but the entire Chimera ant race. The Chimera, result of infinite fusion, had unparalleled potential. He felt the urge to retreat, fearing continued fighting would only empower the cat. But the scabbard trembled. It seemed to say, I'm here to protect you, what are you afraid of? Leo steadied the scabbard. His petty worries from his former life hadn't vanished and were causing trouble again. The fight had reached this point, was he still going to be cautious? Shaking off distractions, all Leo had left was killing intent, toward this enemy born against humanity. Kite sensed Leo's will and knocked another arrow. It won't miss this time. Leo's momentum collapsed instantly. He stared wide-eyed at Kite and said, "You said it wouldn't miss. Feel sorry." Kite pulled her beret down, hiding a smiling face. But Leo knew she'd been laughing. "Okay, wait. After I finish with this cat, the next." Leo's voice broke off. He realized Neferpito's shadow was gone. Damn it. Cursing, Leo leapt up. Now was time to pursue victory. Without Neferpito, the nest was vulnerable. Kite saw it too. This was the chance to destroy the clan and exterminate the species. They worked together toward the nest. As they neared, chimera soldier ants swarmed, but they were no match for the two powerful hunters. Still, division commander level chimera ants were tricky. Though unable to chant Nen, their vitality overflowed. Leo stopped atop the nest, withdrawing the dragon sun. Though Kite was confused, she was too busy battling two division commanders to think. Leo's purpose in sheathing Dragon Sun was to accumulate power. This was the pre-action of Sword Zero. He couldn't gamble rock paper scissors while charging. So he'd only use the sword when confident of a reliable companion. Kite gradually got overwhelmed. One division commander was manageable, but two or three? Plus fearless soldier ants. "Sorry," Kite shouted apologetically. She felt Leo put away his sword as revenge on her. Chapter 48. Meanwhile, deep inside the ant nest, Neferpito arrived at the hatchery, his body covered in injuries. The Chimera Queen was feeding, and the eggs of the other two division commanders had fully formed. "Neferpito? Why are you here instead of going outside to stop the enemy?" The queen ant communicated via brain waves. Neferpito bowed respectfully. Before the king was born, the queen's orders were royal commands. "My queen, the intruders are very powerful. I am not strong enough to resist them. I now request the other two division commanders be released." Nothing showed in the queen's eyes, but her voice carried human emotion. "No. They are still in gestation. If born too early, there will be defects. Then shall we let the thieves invade and disrupt the king's birth? With all due respect, you can't escape in the current situation." "King?" The queen, about to move, froze. She couldn't allow the king's birth to be compromised. "Then decide for yourself. But don't let the thieves enter the nest." "Yes, your majesty." Neferpito's face brightened as he cut open the eggs of the two other division commanders, forcing their premature birth. "I'm sorry, Pito, Yupi. I need you to guard the nest now." The queen communicated with them via brain waves. "As you command, your majesty." "Yes." Though newly born, their wisdom and experience rivaled adults, one of the chimera ant's privileges. "It's a serious injury. Are the intruders really that strong?" Pito glanced cautiously at Neferpito. "Their mental abilities are tricky. Though I want to fight to the death, the king is not born yet, I cannot die." Neferpito and the other commanders understood their role. They existed for the king's welfare came first. So Neferpito had retreated. The others understood too. They planned to abandon the nest and move the queen. "I will take the queen away. Depending on the situation, Neferpito and Yupi can choose to die with the intruders." "Okay." Yupi disliked using his brain, a trait tied to his monster genes. He'd do whatever benefited the king. I couldn't ask for more. Compared to Yupi, Neferpito was more complex, a pure warrior at heart. In the original story, only one of his Nen abilities was for combat, the rest were auxiliary. His high intellect made him prone to compromise. Leo didn't know the queen had been moved by Pito. He was busy accumulating power for Sword Zero. Suddenly, a strong negative aura filled the air, stunning both Leo and Kite. While caught off guard, Neferpito and Yuppie appeared atop the nest. Leo. Stop slacking. The new guy is super strong too. Kite felt her scalp tingle seeing Yuppie. Another monster like that? Haha. Who's slacking? Leo chuckled, a spontaneous confidence arising. Kite, move back. I'm using my ultimate skill. Splash damage will be high. Leo kindly warned, unaware the ants opposite could hear. Meow? New moves? Neferpito's curiosity showed. What? Yuppie was premature with defects and questionable IQ. He didn't understand Leo. Seeing Kite run away, Leo lost patience and pulled out the amplified Dragon Sun. Sword 1. As Leo spoke, air vibrated violently, rumbling. To the ant's shock, a 45-meter-long sword appeared in Leo's hand. Ever been stabbed? Wielding the sword, Leo filled the air with sword light. The terrifying sound of breaking wind echoed throughout the nest. Neferpito reacted fastest. When Leo condensed his mental blade, Neferpito quickly dived to the ground to avoid it. But Yuppie was less alert. Recklessly charging forward, he clenched his fists. Fighting spirit lit Leo's eyes. He swung his sword at Yuppie, submerging the nest behind him. Ah! Yuppie cried as the sword cut him. Only his upper body remained. Leo wasn't careless. He knew Yuppie was like plasticine, missing parts could regenerate. But no head. Leo aimed at Yuppie's head, ready to finish him. Suddenly, a strong threat appeared behind him, forcing Leo to lower Yuppie. He turned and aimed at flying Neferpito. This cat had to be a bad chess player. Flying made him vulnerable, he couldn't dodge, only be a target. When the sword hit Neferpito, Leo felt huge resistance. Neferpito took the blow head-on, wrestling. Leo understood Neferpito's thoughts, but wasn't alone. Kite, watching from afar, didn't disappoint. She shot a golden arrow that pierced Neferpito, pinning him to the ground. Leo slashed the pinned ant multiple times. The sharp sword energy tore through the plane. Ignoring Neferpito now, Leo focused on Yuppie. Either would be disabled or dead this round, so better to finish the forming Yuppie. His physique was unique, not to be left for last. Laughing, Leo slashed Yuppie with his mind blade, cutting the newborn in two. Leo had no intent to spare Yuppie. He slashed repeatedly until the nest collapsed under the huge mental blade. Only a pile of rotten flesh likely remained of Yuppie. Chapter 49. Leo increased the radius of his aura circle to 100 meters. Although this made the circle extremely unstable, it helped him better search for the remaining ants. 1 ant, 2 ants, 3 ants, 4 ants. Leo was a bit sleepy but still swung his butcher knife, sending them to the afterlife one by one. We should keep a few alive, Kite suggested. As a hunter who studied giant creatures, she was very interested in the chimera ants. You can stay if you want. If anything happens, it'll be my fault. After glancing at Kite, Leo continued tracking the ants' traces. I understand. Kite left a few survivors, intelligent ones like a small octopus and some non-aggressive ants. Though the nest was wiped out, Leo wasn't relaxed. There were 3 division commanders left, and the queen ant hadn't been seen. That meant Pito had moved with the queen. Since Pito could fly, there were no nearby traces. Suddenly, a wailing sound caught Leo's attention. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. I know where the queen went. Following the sound, Leo saw Kite and a blonde werewolf. If he remembered correctly, this guy's IQ was like a football-obsessed elementary schooler. Kite, don't rush. Just listen to him. Really? He's cunning and probably lying, Kite said. She had dealt with similar creatures for years and could judge character easily. No. No. I'll go with you to find her. If you can't, kill me. The werewolf, Wilfin, issued a military order that improved Kite's impression of him. Okay. Kite, you keep cleaning up chimera ants. I'll chase the queen. As for the corpses, ask Shizuku to help collect them. She's good at that. After saying this, Leo grabbed Wilfin and flew in the direction he indicated. To the left. More to the right. A bit to the right. Using Wilfin's keen nose, Leo gradually found traces of Peto. Right ahead. I smell the Legion Commander's scales. Actually, without Wilfin's help, Leo's circle had already detected Peto and the queen ant, but the problem seemed larger. Where is your king? Leo asked, frowning as he caught up with Peto. Of course the king is born. You cunning villains will all bow before his majesty. Peto's voice sometimes sounded high-pitched and perverted. Leo gave no chance for more talk. 3 sword strikes sent Peto and the queen ant away from the world. No. Wilfin's wolf face turned grave. Lord Peto's aura is off, as if part is missing. Incomplete? Leo instantly understood. Peto's ability was to decompose into countless larvae. The king might not be born yet or may have been moved elsewhere by Peto. Keep chasing. But the Legion Commander scent is too strong here, I can't tell direction. Wilfin struggled. Leo glanced at Peto's body and scattered scales, then drew the dragon sun, releasing cold sword energy, and soared. What about now? Leo washed away Peto's body and nearby scales with one slash. To the east, Wilfin continued guiding. Back at the ant nest. Kite asked Shizuku to help collect the chimera ant bodies. What a convenient ability. The bulging-eyed fish? It can't eat living things or those related to thoughts, Shizuku explained. Really? You just haven't practiced enough. My crazy clown had only 3 digits at first. Both from the materialization category, they chatted briefly before the topic died, or was cut short. Suddenly, a chilling aura emanated from the nest's depths. Kite and Shizuku froze. Kite recovered first, pulling Shizuku away to safety. They'd fallen into a trap. The queen and the division commanders were decoys, the king was born and still inside. His arrogance exceeded the previous one. The king had been born. Kite stopped thinking and ran for her life. She now clearly understood the ant's strength. She couldn't beat the guards, let alone the king. Moses. Their boss is still in the nest. You've been fooled. I'm fine. I'm running. Well, alright then. Kite paused, then resumed running. For the first time, she appreciated the convenience of mobile phones. Meanwhile, deep inside the nest, Peto knelt before the Ant King, respect and joy on his face. With the other 2 division commanders dead, the king was left with Peto alone. This was his greatest happiness. Escape? You actually let me escape? The king asked angrily. But your majesty, that intruder is too strong. Neferpitou and Yubi died under his sword. Half my body was cut off. We should retreat, wait until you're stronger, then. Bang. The king's syringe-like tail struck Peto. Half his strength gone, Peto nearly died. I am the king. The king will not retreat. Yes. Peto bowed helplessly. Elsewhere, Leo rushed back to the nest with Wilfin. He had to face the Ant King now. The weakest period for chimera ants was just after birth, especially for the king. His strength grew by eating, Leo wouldn't give him any chance. Half an hour later, Leo returned to the nest and saw the Ant King eating amid the ruins. He sighed in relief but was also shocked. With Peto's cunning, the king wouldn't wait for him there. The king's presence was likely by his own will. He was indeed unfathomable. The king of ants? Are you the intruder? They spoke almost simultaneously. Chapter 50. The surroundings suddenly fell silent. The scorching sun disappeared behind the clouds, and under the dim sky, a fierce battle was about to erupt. Leo held his breath and concentrated, drawing his sword from its sheath. A brilliant burst of light exploded forth, like a whale charging into the sea, rushing at Miriam with tremendous momentum. Miriam was still eating his own kind. After all, only chimera ants remained here, or perhaps, in his cognition, these were not his own kind. Seeing Leo's imposing stance, Miriam quickly jumped back, standing just outside the range of the sword energy. "Wait, I'm hungry, let me eat some more." Miriam seemed ruled by appetite. After dodging the sword energy, he resumed chewing. Leo ignored Miriam and continued drawing his sword, preparing to seamlessly connect with Sword Zero after this strike. He leapt into the air, spun twice, and swung a bright silver blade straight at Miriam's face. "Humans," Miriam sighed softly, a mix of helplessness and mockery. He clenched his fists and faced Leo's blade. Boom! The collision sounded like Mars crashing into Earth, sending terrifying shockwaves through the plain. All green vegetation was uprooted, exposing bare ground. Leo's body shook. He wasn't used to such force but didn't stop attacking. Sword Zero. Leo entered his sword-drawing cycle. Countless sword lights flashed like stars in the sky, but filled with murderous intent. Miriam was stunned by Sword Zero's beauty for a moment, then began dodging Leo's strikes. He knew how sharp the dazzling sword was. He bore a serious crack on the back of his hand. The flashes of sword and blood continued as both tried to outmaneuver each other, attempting to kill with a single blow. Unlike Miriam, Leo was focused, pouring 120% attention into the fight. Their fighting styles were similar, both relied on speed and high offense. But Miriam's blood was much thicker, meaning he couldn't afford mistakes. As Leo slashed relentlessly, Miriam seemed to find an opening, slipping past the sword energy motionlessly. A wonderful combo that stacks speed. Too bad your eyes can't keep up. Miriam spotted Leo's weakness. After the sword speed surpassed sound, Leo's eyesight failed to track him. His physique was strong and protected by the scabbard, but even Leo had limits. By then, he'd swung the sword 86 times, only sword light remained visible, no afterimage could be seen. Leo no longer relied on eyesight, depending instead on his aura circle. Vaguely locating Miriam, he continued slashing. Miriam was trapped by the endless sword energy blockade, unable to move freely. He now relied solely on instinct to find Leo's blind spots, waiting for Leo to break first. Sure enough, after over 100 slashes, Leo's clothes nearly burned through. His special combat suit greatly reduced friction and was heat-resistant. "Give up, or you'll burn out first. I'll forgive your destruction of the nest if you swear to submit." Miriam spoke while dodging, trying to shake Leo and reveal flaws. But Leo couldn't hear him. He entered an overclocked state, everything slowed, time compressed infinitely. He was moving too fast. Without his abnormal physique and mental protection, he'd have turned to ash by the 100th slash. In this state, Leo had no plan to stop. The only goal was to lock onto Miriam and kill him with one blow. But whenever the sword energy neared Miriam's skin, he'd suddenly speed up and dodge by a millimeter. This frustrated Leo most. He didn't know Miriam's limits, but it seemed he'd reached them. "Faster! Faster!" came a long-lost voice, from the scabbard. Leo understood and continued slashing. Sword Zero's strikes hit 150, and the fight had lasted only 2 seconds. Miriam's expression darkened. He'd been slashed thrice, his upper body was covered in green blood. But he wouldn't just wait for death. If Leo didn't reach his limit, Miriam would push him to it. Slowly stretching his arms, Miriam aimed to make it easier for Leo to strike. Though confused, Leo couldn't stop. His next slash targeted Miriam's right arm. Laughing, Leo's blade cut like steel, sharp friction echoing. Within 0.1 seconds, Leo neatly severed Miriam's right arm at the shoulder. Just as victory seemed near, Miriam stepped forward and punched Leo with his left fist. Boom! A small mushroom cloud exploded on the ground. Leo slumped in the blast's center, blood gushing wildly from his throat. You've been fooled. That arm was bait. Miriam stood before Leo victoriously. Haha, that remains to be seen, Leo chuckled, attacking again despite his injuries. Miriam thought Leo had given up and struck him. But he missed. Leo raised Sword Zero and swiftly escaped Miriam's attack range. He's a bad guy. Miriam roared, leapt, planning the same trick again. Leo took the bait again, this time on the left arm, at the cost of a full-strength kick from Miriam. When kicked, Leo's internal organs nearly expelled through his throat. Suffocation pressed in. Hee. Despite the pain, Leo smiled. Miriam looked confused. Although more seriously injured, missing an arm, Leo, who'd taken punches and kicks, was even worse off. He couldn't understand why Leo smiled, but the confidence in Leo's eyes meant a backup plan awaited. Urgency flashed in Miriam's eyes as he prepared a fatal blow. Though missing both arms, Miriam wasn't weak. He spun in the air, using his long tail as a gyroscope's counterweight. As he turned toward Leo, he heard a low moan. I'm not alone. Whoosh! A golden arrow streaked across the sky, piercing the spinning Miriam. Leo seized the moment, enduring pain and delivering a 5th-level slash with Sword Zero. King Pito, arriving late, leapt and caught the seriously injured Miriam.